going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of LTMB Live. Thank you for being here. My name is Will Gaillard.
And I'm Mike White.
As always, glad to be here. We have much to discuss on this program, but we're going to just wait just a few seconds to let some people come on in and experience all the goodness.
You know, it's Thursday. It's the last day of the week, so we got to fit some, a lot of stuff in.
No doubt, man, because there's a lot on the plate. There's some stuff we probably won't even get to, but yeah, definitely we want everybody in here so that they can get the news, so that they can conversate with everybody else about what's going on. And definitely everybody that's watching too, please share this on your social media. We want to branch out, so, I did put a notice on Facebook. I know we're broadcasting on Twitch. What's up? We're also broadcasting on Twitter, on Periscope Live. So, yeah, definitely. Just inform other people about what's going on, about the program.
Yeah, if you like the program, share it.
No doubt. We're going to use y'all straight up, man. Word of mouth, something, Share it, comment, all of that good enough, all that good stuff. Let me see. All right, so just a little bit of news about what's going on with the election, or the election that happened on Tuesday. But of course, there's still news to be, talked about going on right now. There's still some races yet to be called. I believe there's 8 in the House that have still yet to be called. And then, of course, the key races in Florida and Georgia. Those are the ones, everybody's really talking about. The Senate race in Florida, and then the Georgia races in Florida and in Georgia. Did I say the Georgia races? I think I said the Georgia races.
I think you said Georgia.
The governor races in Georgia and Florida. So on, I believe, this was earlier today in Florida, U.S. District Judge Mark Walker issued a ruling that allows an extra 2 days for people to fix their ballots. This is if their ballots were rejected due to mismatched signatures. So this is something that the current governor, Scott, I keep saying Scott Walker, Rick Scott, does not want to see happen. He wants this effectively shut down right now. And he did appeal this ruling because he doesn't want this to be allowed to happen.
How does he look appealing this ruling? How does he, look trying to stop people's votes from being counted? I don't get that. I mean, I'm sorry, I do get it.
You get it. Yeah.
I do get it, but
right.
I don't get it at the same time, because to me it's just a bad look.
It is.
Why are you so scared? It's a slim chance that Nelson will overcome this 12,000 vote lead.
Right. It's slim. It's not likely.
Right now he's well within range for a recount.
Right.
But I think the most votes recounts. I guess the most recount swing elections. Well, votes is about average 282 votes.
Okay.
That's like the average amount
that it can swing
either way. 282, and he's down 12,000.
About 12, 13.
So I think Rick Scott is in the clear.
Right.
Just as far as probability goes, but I don't understand why he's so scared. Because recounts do not swing votes. I mean, do swing elections that much.
So if you are privy to that knowledge, then I would think that he has, he's privy to that as well. So if he thinks that there's damn near certainty that he's going to ultimately win that, what's the haste, or what's the motivation to shut down regular process? This isn't like stuff that's not ordinary.
This stuff is
the hand count was called was ordered because of
by law.
Yeah, by law, because of the disparity. Well, the difference between the votes. It was a very small margin. So of course it's going to be a hand count. With the governor race in Florida, it's not so small. It's still small, but still not as small. So it's going to be an electronic vote count, a recount. This is normal business.
Normal business, and like I said, recounts don't normally swing elections. So what are you scared of? And if they do, they don't swing them as much as Nelson needs to win or to make up that gap. You know what I'm saying? It needs to be some extraordinary swing, 8 times the normal amount, in his favor too.
Well, we are talking about votes that were rejected, so these votes would be added into the total. Yeah, so that would be outside of the recount.
The recount.
So, but is it? I mean,
is it still enough?
Are we talking about over 13? Or let's say, nah, damn. It had to be all of them.
It would have to be all of them.
Like if I say 13,000, that would be all that, that's made up for Senator Bill Nelson. So are there 13,000, a net of 13,000 that have been rejected due to a mismatch
that are
signature?
in Bill Nelson's favor? You see what I'm saying?
I don't know.
So all of them would have to be in Nelson's favor.
Yeah.
Again, the probabilities are low, so I don't know what Scott is scared of unless there's some shenanigans that were going on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I don't know, man. But again, this whole process is still playing itself out. There's a lot of races, not just in Florida, but there's some other races that have really shrank. Even for the Republican too in Utah, in that congressional district that Mia Love is representing, that race has shrunken, and now I believe she's down less than, I think it's like about half, like a 0.5% or something like that. It's like maybe about 1,000 votes, something like that.
So
yeah.
These votes that are being tallied after Election Day.
After Election Day.
In the particular race you're talking about, Republican has gained ground, right?
Yes, because the Democrat is leading right now.
So,
are you saying something?
So I'm just saying.
What are you getting at?
So where are the calls for, the Utah elections to be like overseen by like the police, people to go to jail because there's fraud going on because all these votes are coming in after Election Day? On either side, there's nobody.
On either side, yeah.
Democrats aren't saying that,
No.
and obviously Republicans aren't saying that about that particular race.
No, it's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. Just let it play out the way it does. If you don't have an answer on that on election night, so be it. I mean, just let it play out. Count all the ballots. Ensure that every vote counts. That's it. That's it. If it takes 5 days, it takes 5 days. If it takes a week,
10 days, takes a week.
2 weeks. I mean, whatever the process is. The problem is that there is not transparency, though. I mean, so for both sides, they can claim like there is some irregularities going on. There's some irregularities going on. There's some corruption. There's some cheating, whatever. Again, you don't see so much of that on the Democratic side, but still, that I guess the regular citizen cannot view the process the whole way through. Again, that allows for all of this criticism. But still.
So there's some people taking advantage of that.
Oh,
and
yeah.
making claims that they cannot back up with facts.
Oh, let's get to one of those. Let's get to one of those.
One of those people?
One of those people.
Okay.
In an interview with the conservative outlet, The Daily Caller, President Trump on Wednesday claimed that Republican candidates lost elections on last Tuesday, due to voter fraud. Now, this is not an irregular claim for Donald Trump. You remember in 2016, he claimed that there were millions
of undocumented.
Yeah, undocumented.
3 million, he said. And I was like, that's suspiciously almost the exact same amount of votes that Hillary beat him by. Like, why he just could have said like 5 million.
He just pulled it
6
out.
million,
Yeah.
7 million.
Yeah.
Don't let it be like.
There had to be an excuse, though.
Like almost the exact number.
So again, this is not an unfamiliar claim of Donald Trump. He always talks about voter fraud, and he uses that to, I guess, appeal to people, to scare people into supporting voter ID laws in every single state. So on Wednesday, though, with this interview with the Daily Caller, he was very specific about how the voter fraud was actually conducted last Tuesday. He said that what people do is that they change clothes and then they return to the polls to vote multiple times.
Change clothes. Who sung that jump?
Jay-Z.
Jay-Z? Okay.
So he sung some Jay-Z.
He's singing some Jay-Z, man.
This is a quote directly from the president. He said, "When people get in line, they have absolutely no right to vote, and they go around in circles. Sometimes they go to their car, put on a different hat, put on a different shirt, come in and vote again. Nobody takes anything. It's really a disgrace what's going on."
You know, like the first thing I thought of, like, was like the glasses and nose disguise and like a hat. That's the first thing I thought of.
Oh man!
But were there reports of these voting shapeshifters? that I'm unaware of? Were there reports of like this going on, like witnesses, maybe some people that were working at the polls who saw this and reported it happening that we don't know about?
See, those are the words that we don't know about. Because definitely this was not reported. I haven't heard any of this just from President Trump. And it's no coincidence that President Trump didn't offer it the slightest bit of proof. He just claimed that, in fact, that this is happening, just like he did in 2016, in saying that millions of votes were casted that were illegal votes.
And his rhetoric surrounding the midterms have been focused on the accusations that Democrats are stealing votes. So is it safe to assume that when he's talking about these shapeshifters, he's talking about people voting for Democrats?
He'd have to be, right? I guess all of them. All of these, the people that engage in voter fraud, they all want to cast votes for Democrats. Even though there was one time, there was one case.
Oh, yeah.
Remember?
It wasn't just a civilian, was it?
Yeah.
It was an actual representative.
Yeah, it was.
It was a representative.
A state representative,
A state
right?
representative.
Yeah.
I remember that.
And she voted multiple times?
Multiple times.
Yeah, for, was that for Trump?
Yes.
Yeah, that was for Trump. Yeah.
But see, there's another suggestion here that's not necessarily being said. Like, that's not necessarily being spoken. Like, he's not just talking about individual voters or civilians. Like, he kind of has to be saying that poll workers are incompetent too. You would have to be saying that.
Yeah, they'd have to, well, not just incompetent. Well, I guess incompetent and or
in on it.
Yes.
That's what he have to be saying. He's not saying that, but that's kind of like what he's suggesting by making that point.
Yeah.
You can't make that point without there being that suggestion behind it.
I guess this is taking place in very like high traffic areas. So, you know, it's like, hey, we're seeing like
it goes
thousands of people, you know, of course I'm not going to recognize another face, a face that's dressed differently or something like that.
Yeah, no, like people sitting like at, I guess, the poll entrance who are taking IDs and directing people would have to not notice the same face over and over again.
Yeah.
You know, I guess they changed shirts and pants, and that was enough. He didn't even say like he could have said put on glasses, put on a fake mustache, like put on a hat with a wig under it.
Right. Like Hollywood type stuff, like some disguises.
Something that would disguise the person. Another shirt and another pair of pants do not disguise someone as another person.
No. And it's a poor job of a disguise. A very poor job. Again, he didn't offer the slightest bit of proof, so of course you have to not take it with a grain of salt. You know, this is just is hogwash. It doesn't mean anything whatsoever. There is data that was compiled by Justin Levitt from Loyola Law School and the U.S. Elections Project. And between the years of 2000 and 2014, there were about 834 million ballots casted. Okay, out of that 834 million ballots that were casted, there were 35 credible cases of voter fraud between the years of 2000 and 2014. 35 out of 834 million ballots. Also in 2017, the Brennan Center for Justice estimated voter fraud rates at 0.003% and 0.0025%. So that means that a citizen, or it just means that a human has a higher chance of getting hit by a bolt of lightning than actually committing voter fraud.
Successfully.
Yes.
Successfully. I think we all know that Donald Trump is a narcissist. He probably thought that his magic touch would have an overwhelming effect on the midterms, but they didn't.
They didn't.
So he has to blame the losses on something, even if it means making up something.
And he's good at that, right?
He's good at that. And maybe this might be an instance where Trump is playing chess. Not like 8D chess or 5D chess or 4D chess or 3D chess like people talk about. Maybe like a little less sophisticated game. Maybe he's setting it up for the future. He's just setting the stage for the future to explain maybe some future Republican losses. Because Republicans, the next election cycle, they got to defend more seats.
They do.
So maybe he's setting it up, so he's putting it out there to make it like, I guess, some sort of like overarching narrative beforehand.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Before the next election cycle. So who knows?
I'm just wondering how. Well, no, I'm not. I'm not wondering. It's just a shame that there are people that will take this drivel, this nonsense that the president is spitting out, and they'll just accept it as fact. You know, they don't have to do any digging. They don't have to do any research or anything like that. Because if you actually look at it, it's like, okay, people are committing voter fraud, right? Okay, like how does that happen? Like actually, I'm talking about like the actual effect. Somebody committed voter fraud. They were successful. The ballot was casted. It was counted. Everything went in place, and nobody caught it. How does that happen? You remember the case of Crystal Mason in Texas, right? Crystal Mason, she illegally voted. Her ballot did not even count because it was a provisional ballot, but she used her real ID. They were able to ascertain that she wasn't supposed to vote, and she went to jail for it. So I'm not understanding
There's obviously
how in cases of voter fraud nothing happens.
There basically what you explained is there's filters in place.
Yeah, there are. They can catch you.
They can catch you.
Yeah.
They can definitely catch you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know. Like the whole entire narrative surrounding these midterms in regard to stealing elections doesn't even make sense. Even though the Democrats gained House seats, didn't they lose about 100 races just across the board? Like across the board in their districts, about 100 plus races they lost. Mm-hmm. They lost Senate seats as well, a few, but there's a lot of Senate races they lost. So how come they didn't steal those elections? Why, like, you know what I'm saying? Because the Republicans have, like, I guess been centered and focused on 4 elections. That's the one in Arizona, the 2 in Florida, right, and the 1 in Georgia. Just those 4. Only 4. Mm-hmm. Those are the only 4 they're focused on. If this was some sort of plot or plan and overall scheme by the Democrats to steal elections, why just those 4 races? Why not other races that were close? Why not just come up and find ballots in other races that were close?
They could have protected every sit-in senator seat that they had if they were actively cheating.
Yeah, and why wait till after Election Day to find ballots? Like if that was the plan to cheat, you would already have the ballots. And why would you rig the game to like to have to come from behind? Right. Do you see what I'm saying? Why would you rig it to where you would have to engage in this kind of stressful situation where you're having to come from behind because you're downvote? And in Nelson's case, why would you cheat so you could just be scraping for a recount? You would cheat to win. That makes no sense.
Well, maybe it's entertainment. Maybe it's because of entertainment. That provides a nice little segue into another clip that we have. Entertainment. So, again, there's been a lot of talk about the voting and how a lot of these races have not been called yet. It's been days after election night. I mean, this is Thursday already, so this is already over a week. Like I said, there's still 8 House races that have yet to been decided. And then there's some governor races as well, a Senate race. So, like I said, everybody's talking about it. Fox News is talking about it. And recently, Ainsley Earhart, she shared her opinion on the matter. I don't know if I have to do any more to actually set that up. She just shared...
I think that's the joke right there.
Yeah.
Ainsley Earhart shared her opinion on the matter. That's the joke.
She shared her opinion on what she would like to see on voting day, right?
Not just what she would like to see, but what she would like to feel.
Oh yes, that's a more apt description. So let's play this clip and then we'll come back and talk about it.
Well, and I think part of the fun of voting and having your voice heard is finding out on election night. We all stay up really late to see what these votes, when they come in and when these races are called. If you aren't, or you're still counting votes after 10 days, and I understand if it's super close, you have to do that. and it is down there. But if you're still counting votes, if they change it for going forward, we're still counting ballots 10 days after, it kind of takes the fun out of election night.
Yeah, well, I'm willing to take the fun out to get it right, though, Ainsley, right?
Well,
and we should just go back to election day being election day.
Ultimately, though, the reason the Scott people had a problem was because they have felt they've.
She dumb as shit, dog. No, she is dumb as shit.
That is
like it's not fun. Like a ballot's being counted afterwards. It like takes the suspense away. Well, my gosh,
fun. Like vote. All right, look. Voting should. If you are interested in the future of this country and of this world too, because we affect different outcomes across the world. So if you're interested in what happens here and abroad, then you should be interested in elections, and it should give you some sense of pride that you're participating in the process, no doubt. But fun, like entertainment.
Like she thinks it's like some sort of like raffle. Like it's a raffle or some shit. Like she going to like the fair. You know what I'm saying? Like there's like a Dunkin' booth involved. You know what I'm saying? Like there's go-karts. There's a drop zone.
Yeah.
There's like, you know, like just like stuffed animals to be collected when the prizes get handed out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But then at the
like
end.
Like Frankie's Fun Park or something.
But then at the end, like let's say there's a prize that everybody can get, right? But then at the end, it's like, oh, yo, sorry to inform everybody, but we're not gonna be able to give out the prize for a couple days. So just wait, just buy the time. Somebody will get it. No, that is not the case.
No, she dumb. And she dumb. And poor Brian Kilmeade. Like
Brian.
And you know what?
Man.
This
voice of reason.
I tell you what, like we are in like straight up an upside down world. We're in an upside down world if Brian Kilmeade is the voice of reason. But it's not hard to be the voice of reason if you're sitting next to just that chick, Earhart, whatever her name is.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, but see, it's little situations like that prove to me that Brian Kilmeade knows what he's doing every day.
Yeah.
Like, why can he so quickly interject some common sense like that? That tells me he knows whatever job he has to do at Fox News is a job where he has to constantly shovel bullshit.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Look at his face. Look at his face here. So this is a screen cap.
Your boy's like, oh my God,
Come on,
like,
man.
Are you serious? And see, that's just the screenshot. If you actually go look and go find the clip, it's easy to find. Just type it in Google and just find it. Like the entire segment. Like he even looks over his shoulder. He's like, yo, what the heck? Like he's signaling to like the producers, like, is she
and it's
serious?
like he wants to jump in.
He
too.
wants
like,
to jump in because
yeah, no,
like,
no.
The whole time she is talking, he's like, is she serious?
This ain't supposed to be fun, this man. Like we're supposed to be counting back. Every single, again, like what we said before, as long as it takes, that's how long it takes. This isn't supposed to be a sports show or something like that. This isn't like music. This isn't a play or a movie. It's not a concert. No, it's not any of that. This is the political process right here. This is shaping the country right here,
but
man.
I like how, you know, I think Steve Ducey had to step in as the jolly father figure, you know what I'm saying, to break it up between the kids, because you could tell he was like, hey, damn, he corrected her on the spot. Thanks. So let me jump in and like explain everything like a jolly father figure. He did a good job with that. But that was like very eye-opening, and I'm like, why do they have her? Oh, never mind. I was about to say, why do they have her on air? And I just remembered why.
Yeah.
Like I don't like that chick, man. Like she's like one of those well-mannered, nice, good posture, you know, talks very calmly, talks very articulately, well, has a nice tone. She seems like a nice person, but I've seen her say shit. She's a damn bigot, and she's stupid.
She is stupid.
And, you know, she has a children's book, too, so she's about the kids, so you can't criticize her. She's such a nice person. We grew up around people like that, you know what I'm saying? Nice people that were like bigots and had backwards ideas and just kind of sounded very nice and well-mannered, you know what I'm saying? To give that appearance like she's civilized, but she's stupid and she's a bigot. I don't know how people, never mind.
You should count them on voting on election night. You know, it's fun. You wanna see
the suspense.
It come to a culmination. At
Yo,
the end.
you like to me like she's like a child. She's a child.
She is.
That just sounded like a child. She sounded like a child. Like I pictured like when she was saying that, she might as well just had like some cotton candy in her hand and a sucker and a teddy bear and maybe a blanket or something, because she sounded like a child, man.
All right. So let's move on. I see that the lights in the picture, man.
Which one?
Right there. Just pull out the. No. I think the lights in the picture. Or not? That's yours.
No.
Yeah, you moved it. All right. So let's move on. What are we gonna move on to, man? All right. So let's talk about talk about Special Counsel Robert Mueller. All right. So
Mr. Witch Hunt himself.
Mr. Witch Hunt himself. Him and his band of 17 angry Democrats.
What do you say? Would he be Dorothy then? I don't know.
All right. So, of course, in recent days, the Attorney General, the former Attorney General, now Jeff Sessions, he was fired by Donald Trump. Well, he asked for his resignation. He gave him his resignation. So the new man in charge is Attorney General, or the acting Attorney General, Matthew Whitaker. And many people are on edge, Democrats and Republicans, on edge because of some critical things that Matthew Whitaker has said about the Mueller investigation prior to joining the Trump administration. So there was an effort in the Senate to move to protect Special Counsel Robert Mueller and the investigation. They wanted to protect him from being fired, or that's the primary motivation for it. So again, a lot of people are concerned that he will try to somehow fire Mueller or try to
slow the investigation.
Yeah, curtail the investigation.
Whitaker devoted much of 2017 to, I guess, letting his voice be heard concerning this Mueller investigation.
Yes.
Like, he was actually providing his own set of tactics, as to slow the investigation, or just kind of like stop it. Right. But basically just hamstring it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
hinder it in some way.
Hinder it in some kind of way.
Right.
So he's made his opinions known about the investigation and Mueller. So I don't see how he doesn't have a conflict of interest the same way Jeff Sessions did.
True. So because of that, Senators Chris Coons and the outgoing senator from Arizona, Jeff Flake, they teamed up and they were seeking unanimous consent to prevent Mueller from being fired without good cause by a Senate-confirmed DOJ official. So that didn't work. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell threw cold water all over that idea and shut it down. He said that his reason is because he speaks with the president very often, and he has gotten the feeling that President Trump is not likely to end the Mueller investigation or fire Robert Mueller. So this legislation is a waste of time.
Wait. How does he get that feeling? Like, again, like, Donald Trump has been president for 2 years. I mean, he's been talking about Robert Mueller
and the angry Democrats
the entire time. He goes off on these Twitter tangents.
That's true.
He goes off on tangents when he's interviewed, when he's asked questions pertaining to this. So how can McConnell actually, I guess, conclude what Trump wants to do in that way? How can he make that, how can he come to that conclusion when we have seen evidence that that's what he wants to do? He wanted Jeff Sessions to do what? Fire Robert Mueller. So if he wanted his AG to fire Robert Mueller, that means he wanted Robert Mueller fired and not investigating him or anything surrounding him and his activities. So McConnell's full of shit. All I'm
Trump
saying is,
even went onto a Twitter rage earlier today. Right?
He had like what, five tweets,
tweets about this Mueller investigation. 17 angry Democrats and how this is a witch hunt.
Mueller is conflicted. He wasn't even confirmed by the Senate, and I'm like, actually, Mueller was confirmed twice. He was confirmed when he became FBI director under Bush, and he was confirmed the second time when he was made acting I think, Deputy Attorney General. Yeah. So he was confirmed twice already. So
Trump even threw in Peter Strzok into his tweets. He lied in his tweets talking about that Robert Mueller was working for Obama for 8 years, which he didn't.
Robert Mueller worked for who for 8 years?
That would be Bush.
Now, he worked under Obama for 2 years because Obama just extended it 2 years because it was like a 10-year thing. So he extended it 2 years, but it wasn't under. But why would he say that? You think he's just trying to like throw shit against the wall and just put mud in the water? Do you think he knows that? Do you think he knows that Mueller was not appointed under Obama? Do you think he knows that? Like, why would you lie about something? Again, why would you lie if you don't have anything to hide? Why would you tell such blatant lies?
He seems scared.
He seems scared. Yeah. He seems real scared.
That's why it's like something had to happen that maybe we are not privy to.
Yo, because he just came out of
nowhere
nowhere and started talking about this. Like, it was 4 or 5 tweets this morning. It was when it was like one of them, 2 of them were together, and the other 2 were like 3 hours later.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Again, maybe look, we talked about. I think this was last week that this Mueller investigation. It seems that it possibly could be concluding because there were some reports that the Mueller team was writing its final draft. So
that's probably if that's been I guess been out there in the public, then you know good and well that Trump knows and his team knows and those who are his advisors know and so those surrounding him and his White House counsel or We
don't know, man. Like I said, we're not going to make any conclusions or anything like that. It just
maybe his
behavior is very strange maybe for somebody that is innocent.
Maybe his friends, Nunez and Gowdy, feeding him some information about some things. You never know.
You never know. But back to Mitch McConnell for just a moment. He wrote an op-ed for Fox News that was published on Thursday, earlier this morning. And ironically, the subject was bipartisanship. Ironically, he asked, quote, will Dems work with us or simply put partisan politics ahead of the country? He also goes on to state that the most prolific achievements, prolific is his word, prolific achievements of the Republican Party were done with bipartisan support.
And what were those achievements?
Well, I don't know.
What were those achievements?
I don't know.
Boy, you know what, boy? You know who would have loved some bipartisan, I guess strategies by the Republicans. Yeah. You know who would have loved bipartisan strategy?
Who that?
Merrick Garland.
Yeah, he might have liked that. He might have liked some bipartisanship. But Merrick Garland, he didn't even get a hearing, let alone a vote. He didn't even get a hearing because Obama did his duty as president of the United States with some like 11 months left in his term.
Like a year left, bro.
Okay.
Like a year left, bro.
He did his duty, nominated somebody to the Supreme Court, and Mitch McConnell was there as majority leader and stonewalled. Could have used some bipartisan support. Do your job as the senator. Do your job as the majority leader. Could have used some bipartisan support. And just like we said, what we were talking about earlier, Chris Coons and outgoing Jeff Flake, they came together in bipartisanship to protect the Mueller investigation. They could have used some support. They could have used some. Because it's not just about Robert Mueller either, because this is about the future as well. There might be some special counsel, after the fact. We don't know when. We don't know when it's going to be called upon. But still, you would want that particular individual protected from somebody trying to, unjustly fire them or end the investigation.
See, now you're taking the conversation beyond Trump, and I guess that makes some people uncomfortable. I think it is very convenient and it's easy for people to keep the conversation on Trump and his campaign members, his advisors, or his administration, or individuals that are close to him that may be guilty of doing something illegal. I think there are some people who want the conversation to stay there and not mean anything broader because it's easier for them to brush it off, because then they can point to other actors or other supposed corrupt people that have not been punished for their deeds.
Right.
And that's what people typically do when the subject of Robert Mueller's special counsel probe comes up. They always shift or deflect attention elsewhere. And if we make this a conversation like you just did about setting a precedent on how situations like this are treated in the future, then we're talking about something else. Then we're talking about...
This goes beyond Trump.
This goes beyond Trump. But people are so, I guess, caught up in taking sides, or taking a side in spite of another side, if you know what I'm saying.
Right.
Like, you don't like Hillary Clinton, so you see Trump as the top Hillary Clinton adversary. So whatever happens to Trump, you feel as if you need to take a certain side because it reflects on Hillary Clinton in some kind of way.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think these two figures just need to be kind of taken out of the conversation solely. You know what I'm saying? Because it doesn't matter how we deal with this situation involving Robert Mueller. Like you said, it could be setting a precedent for how we deal with the situation in the future.
Yep.
And why would you want to upset that? Even in the corrupt system that's not perfect right now, that's not something you want to do.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Because, like you said, you're setting a precedent. It might be an investigation an investigation of a Democratic politician, right? Would these Republicans that are so behind Trump and his agenda, would they really want a Democratic president to help himself out?
Help himself out.
Improperly?
And again...
or herself out improperly?
And no, they wouldn't. And you know what? And you know what the Democrats would do. The Democrats would play this, oh, you did it too game, and they would have nothing to say. And those of us who are attempting to hold the Democratic Party accountable at every step, you know, we would be at a loss too.
Right.
Because they would actually have the political advantage to doing whatever the fuck they wanted to do.
Right.
And the Republicans would be the one to have given it to them.
So it'd be tough noogies for them then, at that point.
At that point, it would be tough for everyone. You know what I'm saying? We would have a lot to talk about, but it wouldn't be something I would like to talk about. It shouldn't ever make it to that point. But we are at a point right now in history where that could actually be, could come down the road depending on how this whole probe plays out.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on. On Wednesday, President Trump announced his support of a bipartisan criminal justice reform bill. The bill is called the First Step Act. So this criminal justice reform initiative has been in the works for months with Jared Kushner, the president's son-in-law and senior advisor to the president. He's been taking the lead on it. There's been significant disagreement on this legislation, and the sides are very unlikely. Senator Chuck Grassley has been on the side with progressives because in the earlier version of this bill, in the House version of this bill, it was really, I guess it was all one-sided. It really it dealt with the after effects of imprisonment. So it dealt with recidivism rates. It dealt with prison conditions. It dealt with all of those things, but it didn't address any sentencing reform. So it might help somebody get reacclimated to life outside of prison, help them with opportunities, employment opportunities outside of prison, but it doesn't do anything for the actual rates of people entering
We
prison.
talked about that, how the exclusion of that actually kind of makes almost the bill toothless.
It was worthless
and
without that.
I think the House Republicans signed the bill only because that was excluded.
Right. So yeah, that passed the House earlier this year, but in the Senate there was, like I said, there was significant opposition to it, with Republicans being opposed to it, like Senator Chuck Grassley, who, like I said, is a very unfamiliar person to be on the side with the progressives. This bill that President Trump is supporting, this is the Senate version of this criminal justice reform bill called the First Step Act, like I said. This is a little bit of information on it right here. Okay. The compromise would eliminate the so-called stacking regulation that makes it a federal crime to possess a firearm while committing another crime, like a drug offense, expand the drug safety valve, allowing judges to sidestep mandatory minimums for nonviolent drug offenders, and shorten mandatory minimum sentences for nonviolent drug offenders, according to the draft text of the bill obtained by the New York Times. Also, this is from The Hill, the sentencing provisions include reducing lifetime mandatory minimum sentences after 2 prior felony drug convictions to at least 25 years, reducing minimum sentences after 1 prior conviction from 20 to 15 years, and making the Fair Sentencing Act retroactive. So, especially, like, all of these things are very important. And, you know, the Fair Sentencing Act, that was signed into legislation in 2010 by former President Barack Obama. Now, it's something, you know, making it retroactive, that's something that should have been done at the time in 2010 when it went into law. So what that deals with is the difference between crack cocaine and powder cocaine. And, you know, how it's viewed by law. Oh, yeah. And it was, you know, it affected black people in a very disproportionate way, of course. A lot of black people were caught with crack cocaine, not the powder cocaine, and they were, you know, they were sentenced to like mandatory minimums of like at least a 5-year sentence. Just simple possession of crack cocaine. Now, with the Fair Sentencing Act of 2010, it did remove that mandatory minimum sentence, so that was a good thing. But again, you still have people that are in jail, lengthy sentences for prior convictions. So it makes no sense.
What good is a bill if it doesn't deal with everybody who's been affected?
Exactly.
Period.
It should have been retroactive right at the outset, but it wasn't. So, like I said, that's good. And you know, when I first heard about this bill that President Donald Trump is supporting, I have to tell you, my eyebrows were raised, and I felt like it definitely wasn't going to go far enough, because we have talked about this particular initiative by the House and the Senate to do something about criminal justice reform. And before, like I said, it was about the House bill, and it dealt 0%. It dealt with sentencing reforms. This one seems to tackle that. So I am surprised. It does seem like this would be beneficial to people that are or may enter the prison system according to the old rules. There are, like I said, not just Senator Chuck Grassley that is in support of this, but there are some other unlikely sources. The Fraternal Order of Police, last week they issued a statement saying that they support the bill, and specifically they supported the sentencing reforms. Other groups to endorse it are the International Association of Chiefs of Police, Law Enforcement Leaders to Reduce Crime and Incarceration, the National District Attorneys Association, and the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives.
So there's kind of a lot of stated support from all these groups,
yes,
all these representatives. But what has Trump actually said about it? What has Trump actually said via his own mouth? You know what I'm saying?
He came out with a statement, I believe this was yesterday. He was in, you know, he had some senators behind him, and he was talking about the bipartisanship of the bipartisanism of this, you know, whole arrangement, and how it's a good thing. You know, good things happen when Democrats and Republicans actually get together and they make things happen.
Well, I think it's about time for that. When I say it's about time, I mean right after the midterm elections.
Oh, yes.
I think it was necessary.
Oh, yes.
Because when he got elected and shortly thereafter, he touted his abilities at reaching across the aisle.
He did.
You know what I'm saying? He made out like he was going to be the bipartisanship king,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Well, in these a
great cheerleader for America.
Great cheerleader. Yeah. He's going to be making deals.
Yes.
But that hasn't come to fruition after his first 2 years.
No, I don't believe it has.
No, it hasn't. So, in my opinion, it doesn't really have to do with kind of Trump initiating this. I think Republican leadership knew they had to do something. I think Republican leadership knew they had to pass some kind of bipartisan legislation on Trump's behalf before they went to break, especially after the midterms. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to have something for the Republican Party to look forward to coming up on these 2020 elections.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Because if he doesn't get something bipartisan done the first 2 years, that's just a bad look.
Yeah. Again, this is something that a lot of people are in support of. And if it does, like I said, if this is really meant to change things up and give judges more leeway with not implementing prison sentences and actually nonviolent drug offenders, stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, this is all good news. It's just that
it would be a 180 from the staunch and very steadfast position that Trump took.
Yeah.
At the beginning of his presidency, and like it would be odd for him to kind of champion a bill like this after appointing Jeff Sessions. Now he's fired now.
Yeah, and a lot of people say that under Jeff Sessions something like this wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, true, but it wasn't just about Jeff Sessions though. He specifically hired Jeff Sessions. No, not just for that one reason, but that was one of the reasons why he hired Jeff Sessions, because of his position on drugs and drug law enforcement.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Because he advised Jeff Sessions to roll back Obama-era efforts that this bill actually deals with now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because those Obama-era efforts sought to, rectify the things that are in this current bill.
Uh-huh.
So him rolling those things back were a direct result of Donald Trump's direction. So it just seems weird that he would make do a complete 180 now. But it is interesting that kind of adds some drama to it, that now Jeff Sessions is gone and the new or acting AG has stated that he's, co-signs this bill. So it's like all the pieces are lined up.
Yeah. And it possibly might do some good. And actually, you have to say that this will actually impact the black community and the brown community in a positive way. Now, the only thing, though, again, I say I'm still suspicious of it because we don't know where up the sleeves of some of these people that are, trying to make this happen.
Especially because there are sponsors like the Koch brothers.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Like, okay.
I know, some unlikely figures, but
Very
still,
unlikely.
Right now, okay, this is still November. The House is still a very conservative House. So maybe in the Senate, there is enough support to actually pass in the Senate. But in the House, in the conservative House, who earlier this year passed the other version of this bill that didn't have any kind of these citizen reforms included into it. Is this conservative House right now that doesn't leave until January? Are they actually going to
the same House that only
agree on this one?
The same House that only signed the previous bill because it omitted sentencing reform. You think they're gonna think differently on this bill? You know what I'm saying?
It doesn't seem likely. It just doesn't seem likely. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the president has some pull, man.
Maybe Grassley has some pull.
Yeah.
I think that's probably more likely.
Maybe
more so than the president. Maybe Grassley has some pull. We have not seen.
But they were firm. They were firm in opposition to including sentencing reforms. They were like, nah, we don't want sentencing reforms. And again, the former Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, of course, didn't want any of that either. He fought against mandatory minimum sentences being ousted or anything like that.
And that was, again, President Trump approved of that.
Yes.
So it's not like
I just don't see how they're
that's
gonna
the thing.
make
It's like
waves
if
on
that's one of the reasons why Jeff Sessions was fired, then I can kind of, I guess, I can have more of a positive outlook on this, but that wasn't the reason he was fired. So I'm just trying to see, like, whether Donald Trump will actually, like, co-sign on this.
Well, he came out in full support. He is endorsing it. He said that to the media. He made a statement. To go back on his word, now we know that's, like he could do that on a whim. But I'm just saying he has already indicated that he supports the Senate version that includes the sentencing reforms. Now it's on the House. Still, it has to pass the Senate, but I think that's an easier, I guess that's an easier hurdle to clear than passing the House.
So if it doesn't pass the House, I think we already know, like, which direction the votes are going to go. So who would be to blame?
Yeah. I mean, look, in January, you will have a Democratic House. So it's possible that this thing is just kind of tabled until that point. It's possible.
Tabled to get a better bill? I don't know if...
Well, we don't know. But anyway, But we do want to show a short clip. Van Jones, he started, this criminal justice reform organization called Cut 50. And that also included the celebrity Kim Kardashian. So he was at an event earlier, it was a criminal justice reform summit. And he was talking about how Donald Trump was at the White House, I believe at the Capitol, and he was, he was making his support of this new criminal justice reform bill. He was making it known that he was in support of it. So I just I'm gonna put out a little warning. Just wait until like the last about 20 seconds of this video. It's about just under 2 minutes long. The last 20 seconds might throw you a little bit. Might throw you. Through me. So we'll see if it throws you.
I'm happy to be here with somebody who has emerged this year as one of the most effective and impactful criminal justice advocates, surprising, I think, herself as much as anybody else. And I'm also proud to announce that while we are sitting here, President Donald Trump is in the Roosevelt Room with a bunch of senators, a bunch of our friends, a bunch of TV cameras, announcing that he is going to support the First Step Act, which is unbelievable. We'll get into all of it, talk about it, but the journey to get from a president who, when he was being sworn in, was talking about American carnage, when he was elected, the prison stocks went through the roof, the assumption being that he was going to go on a prison building boom. To go from that less than 2 years ago to what's happening right now, where he's endorsing prison reform, sentencing reform, talking about Miss Alice Johnson, as he loves to do. Oh, by the way, Miss Alice Johnson is here. Give a round of applause, by the way, Miss Alice Johnson, who is here. And we'll get into her story. But it would have been impossible, and I can say this because I've been front row for this whole process. This whole motion of the president, at least on this issue, if not others that we care about, would not have been possible had it not been for Kim Kardashian. It would not have been possible. And
Thank you.
What? He say something? What, he say something? Say something funny? It wouldn't have been possible. Oh, that last part. When he said it wouldn't have been possible. Possible without Kim Kardashian. It wouldn't have been possible.
It wouldn't have been possible without Kim Kardashian? On this issue, criminal justice reform, Trump supporting sentencing reform, the First Step Act. It wouldn't have been possible without Kim Kardashian.
Something that was in the works, not for just 2 years under Trump, but before, something that was
many years.
This has been a long process through many administrations that's kind of coming to a head right now. This didn't just start when she made that little trip. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of what he's suggesting. It's like once she put herself in the mix, that's when everything took off. Jared Kushner gets more credit than she does. Jared Kushner should get more credit. I'm not saying I'm like a Jared Kushner fan. I'm just saying we both know he was working on some things behind the scenes for a long time after Trump became president. So he doesn't get no credit. So Van Jones ain't give him no credit.
I don't want to look. I don't want to malign anybody's efforts. You know, because there are a lot of people that have made efforts to actually do something positive about the incarceration rates in the United States of America. There's lots of people that are involved. And again, I'm not going to dismiss the efforts of Kim Kardashian for advocating for one individual in Alice Marie Johnson, who was looking at a lifetime sentence in a federal prison. And she did get out after she went to the White House and spoke to Donald Trump, the president, Donald Trump. She got, her sentence was commuted, shortly after she met with the president about that. And I believe she made at least one more trip to talk about, prison reform. So I'm not going to malign people's efforts. I'm not going to dismiss people's efforts, but to say that this could not have come to fruition without Kim Kardashian, Van Jones has just crossed into bumbling idiot.
So it's like he's done like the political version of jumping the shark.
My gosh, man. Kim Kardashian? Again, I'm so happy for Alice Marie Johnson, and when it happened, we talked about that. This is great news for Alice Marie Johnson that, man, she's been in jail for so many years, and I mean, if she went, look, the war on drugs is a colossal failure. We don't think she should have been in jail to begin with at all. But anyway, she was in there for a very lengthy sentence. She did her time. She was a model prisoner. She definitely should have been let out, but there are thousands others like her. So our contention was like, okay, what about all of those other people that are still looking at lifetime sentences in federal prisons? What about them? You advocated for one particular prisoner because you saw some viral video on social media about
Oh,
her.
No. I don't think it's just because he saw the viral video.
No, I'm talking about Kim Kardashian.
Oh,
Kim Kardashian saw the viral video.
Kim Kardashian.
Then she went to the White House to advocate for her.
Okay.
She got her sentence muted.
But I don't think like he would come out the mouth just because she did all that. She was up on stage with him. They've been chilling out. She probably been looking into his eyes. She probably got some tight outfit on. Probably got his mouth wide open. Got his nose and his mouth and his eyes wide open. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's definitely seems like...
So she put the sexy on him.
She put the sexy on him. Now he all buttered up. He just all glistening. And you know what I'm saying? Because he couldn't help himself. They're there. It's in the moment. It's an event. And he's like, why don't I give this thick sister some credit? Yeah.
So it is Hail Kim K then.
Hail Kim K.
It is Kim K then. She did the most.
She did everything. She did everything.
Man.
He just probably feeling her just a little bit. Just a little bit. You know what I'm saying? You know what them Kardashians do to people. You know what them Kardashians do to men, right? Van Jones ain't immune to it, apparently.
Apparently
Van
not,
Jones
man.
is not
Because like I
immune
said,
to it, man.
he turned into a mumbling, bumbling, stumbling idiot, man. This would not have happened if not for the services of Kim Kardashian. Wow. Wow, man.
Yo.
Kim Kardashian. She did. Man, that's amazing. That is amazing, Van Jones.
And like
man.
you said, you don't want to
Amazing.
try to tear anybody down. But come on, man. You don't want to go overboard.
This is way more than that. This is way more than that, man.
This is like straight up Titanic overboard. Like for real.
Like I will grant you that, yeah, it was because of her that Alice Marie Johnson, the individual case, that she's out of prison. It is because of her. Because I mean, like that video had been around for months and months and months. It was Kim Kardashian that I guess brought it to the attention of President Trump. So yeah, in her particular case, definitely, yeah. I don't think Trump was even aware of it. So yeah, good job on that front. Now there's lots more work to do. And again, I applaud you for joining this criminal justice reform initiative with Van Jones and others at Cut 50. No doubt. Good work. I'm glad you're in on the effort. But to single her out and say couldn't have been done without her.
That's just not singling someone out. That's like saying this person is the genesis.
Yes.
This person is the genesis. Like, this is the alpha, the omega without this person.
So everybody else got you like 99% of the way. Kim Kardashian came in, may have put in about 1/10%.
Oh, she put a 1/10% in. That's what she put 1/10% in. All
and
right.
now the whole cake is hers.
Yo, literally. Literally. You right about that, boy. The whole cake is hers.
Oh man, that's nonsense right there. Man. But okay, all right, Van Jones, we see you, buddy. We see you, man. All right. Moving on. On Wednesday, the House of Representatives voted and approved, mainly on party lines, to take the gray wolf off of the endangered species list. Now, that's not something that we would normally be talking about. But included in this bill is a provision that strips away the War Powers Resolution of privileged status. So the War Powers Resolution was introduced by Democratic Representative Ro Khanna just a couple months ago. And if it was passed, it would end U.S. military support in the Yemen War. So it invoked the War Powers Act, giving it privileged status, meaning that theoretically the Democrats could have pushed for a vote on it. Now, that didn't happen, but still, theoretically, they could have forced a vote on it. So now that threat to end more civilian killing in Yemen is gone, thanks to the GOP Republicans, man. Yeah, good job. More killing in Yemen, more famine, more infection and all that, more of a humanitarian crisis and all of that. Yeah,
they're basically making it to where like it can't be talked about at all.
Yes, because this is again the resolution that Ro Khanna introduced to Congress. Again, this is about
having a conversation, not even
about it,
not even like an actual vote on the assisting in the war itself.
Yes.
Just a conversation about whether we should or not.
Yes. Similar to this was earlier this year as well. It was Senators Mike Lee, Bernie Sanders, and Chris Murphy. They brought a similar resolution before Congress and was shut down by the Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. So similar things, but yeah, it seems like Republicans don't want to go anywhere near this. And Ro Khanna, as a result, he had this to say, said, let's be very clear. This is unprecedented in American history. What the majority is saying is that if the President of the United States and the Speaker believe we should be in war, we should be at war. And that's exactly what they are saying. Because the last time I checked, Congress is the one that declares war. We have not declared war on Yemen. We have not entered into some official pact with Saudi Arabia on this initiative. We haven't done any of that. We're not part of the Saudi coalition against Yemen and, against the forces that they're trying to stop and trying to get out of Yemen. We're not in that at all. But we are in it unofficially. We are helping it unofficially. That bus that was struck just a few months ago, that school bus, the bus full of children that was struck by a Saudi coalition bomb, a U.S. bomb, by the way, a U.S. bomb. But Saudi, of course, launched a bomb at the civilian bus. There were how many kids that died in that? I think it was at least 29 kids that died because, again, they were on their way to a summer camp. Civilian targets are being killed in Yemen.
Now, what is kind of Trump's feeling about this as far as the civilian deaths?
He thinks it's tragic.
How does he feel about that?
Yeah, he thinks it's tragic. Actually, there was an interview that he conducted with Axios, HBO, and in that interview, he said something to the
like one of the interviews asked him if he was if it was upsetting that the children were killed, and he was like, oh, it's more than upsetting.
Yeah,
it's more than upsetting.
Yeah, but he also said that what had happened.
Oh yeah,
was that
this
they
is
don't
whack.
know, whoever's launching these attacks, they don't know how to use the weapons.
Yeah, that's what that was his answer. That was the excuse that he gave when the interviewers asked about the United States' involvement in this conflict, and that's what he said. Well, hey, we give them the weapons, but they just don't know how to use them. See, that's the problem. So the civilian deaths are not our fault because they don't know how to use them. And then the interviewers basically they had everything. They had all the receipts. Yep. They had comments made by people on by his people that he appointed. People his own advisors, like military advisors, who said, yeah, we trained them. We trained them on how to use the weapons, how to do this and how to do that.
But they're still not using them properly.
But he's like, well, we don't shoot them ourselves. They just still don't know how to use them properly. I'm like, well,
But we're not liable.
We're not.
Even though we're giving them the weapons and trying to train them.
But again, even when you're trying to justify something that's like unjustifiable, you have to use a horrible method of reasoning. Mm-hmm. So you end up making another bad argument. And to me, if that's the case and they don't know how to use the weapons, shouldn't that be reason not to sell them the weapons?
Right. They're not capable of using them in the proper way.
So he's still stuck in the same position. He thought he was going to get out of it, but the method he used at trying to defend it actually created another, I guess, rational sinkhole for him. You know what I'm saying? Like the article you sent me about it, the author says that the refueling, that's the aerial refueling was the most controversial part of this. The aerial refueling, the most controversial aspect. And I'm like, is it really? Or is it just the weapons? And I was like, I agreed with the article's like kind of like overarching kind of narrative, but that one part I was like, no, the aerial refueling is not the most controversial aspect. It's the fact
the bombs.
It would be the
bombs that are like hitting civilian targets. That would probably be the most devastating.
Yeah,
right?
because
that's actually killing people.
If we didn't sell them the planes and the bombs and all that, we wouldn't have anything to refuel in the first place.
But that aspect that you're talking about seems as though that aspect has been ended now.
That's right.
Yeah. So
that's
last
right.
Friday,
yeah.
last Friday, it was announced that the U.S. will no longer engage in refueling Saudi coalition planes. But still, don't go congratulating President Trump or United States of America because it was framed as a Saudi decision. Because they framed it as like they don't need the United States support in refueling planes anymore. They can do it themselves.
They're capable of doing it themselves. So it's really like it is kind of being promoted as some sort of tiny step.
Yes,
but really it's not a step at all. And even if it was something that the United States initiated, it still wouldn't mean anything because there'd still be bombing. Yeah. There'd still be civilian death, so it doesn't really mean anything.
The United States is still providing tactical assistance, intelligence, and of course the billions of dollars in arms sales.
That's probably the most significant.
Yes, that's the most impactful here. So we are still complicit in this war, even though we have not declared war on Yemen. And we have not entered into an official agreement with Saudi Arabia on this front as well. So we're still complicit. But again, the GOP sees nothing wrong here. One of the congressmen named Dan Newhouse, a Republican from Washington, he said, in a few short weeks, the Democrats will assume the majority. They'll be able to hold all the hearings and markups and votes that they want on this matter. So forcing this type of vote now in the remainder of this Congress, in my humble opinion, is unnecessary. Yes, it's unnecessary because, you know, from now until when the Democrats do assume power in the House of Representatives, it's not like more civilian targets could be, you know, wiped out. It's not like more buses could be targeted and, you know, exploded. It's not like, you know, there will be more people that die from starvation.
Who cares about the timing? Like when you're mentioning all that stuff, like he's making it like, oh, this is kind of like sounds like, oh, they're just making it political. Who the fuck cares?
Exactly.
Who the fuck cares if it's political or not? It's just doing the right thing.
Yeah.
It's like,
is it the right thing or is it not the right thing? It doesn't matter if the Democrats are going to have power in a couple months. Is it the right thing or is it not the right thing? Oh, the Democrats will be able to do this. Do you have a soul? Are you a human being?
You know, I don't understand I don't understand why they just can't understand what the trend is as far as how the American people view these conflicts. Like, if you ask people, do you agree with the war in Iraq? Did you agree with the war in Iraq? Overwhelmingly, you would hear no. Mm-hmm. If you ask the American people, or if you polled the American people, the result would come back, oh, hell no.
Right.
We shouldn't have been in Iraq. We shouldn't have been in Afghanistan. We shouldn't have been here. So, like, I think when it comes to Yemen, I think it's clear what the trend is going to be. And well, I already know what the trend is now, but in the future, when the aftermath of this war is more visible and the consequences of it are kind of in our face, as always is, then people kind of wake up a little bit and say, oh man, we shouldn't have been there. And then they're just pushed to get out of there. they can get ahead of the game and be like, they could get ahead of the game, understand that trend is most likely going to come, and be like, let's do this. So
let's do the right thing in a bipartisan way.
Bipartisan way. But even if it's bipartisan, you know who would get credit for it? Republicans would get credit.
Of course,
for
they would get. They're in power right now.
They're in power, and that's the point. Why not?
So it wouldn't be a good look for you.
It would be a good look for them. Why not take advantage of that?
If you're going to take advantage of it,
if you're going to make it political,
you in other elections.
Other elections. So again, like if
you're going to
make it political, at least make it political and do the right thing. So at least it could benefit your party. But you're so war driven, and you got such a war hawk mentality that you can't even see that it will help your party at the end of the day. It just doesn't make sense to me.
If they're not selling bombs, not selling planes, I mean, what are they doing?
I mean, that's
about the
donors,
think about
man.
The defense contractors.
Defense contractors, donors, lobbyists,
All right, moving on. All right. All right, so in the past few months, there have been many incidents caught on camera. We have Pool Patrol Pete.
Right.
We got Barbecue Becky.
Barbecue Becky.
You remember Permit Patty. You remember the
Corner Store Karen.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
remember at Yale University sleeping while black, napping while black. There's honestly too many to actually name. Like I'm sure there's a few that I can't even call off because I've forgotten them. They're not right there at the forefront of my brain. But there's been so many of them, and you just shake your head in disgust because it's just you see white people that are bothered with black people. It's not like some crime is being committed. They're just bothered with black people, so they call the police on them. So we have some more instances of just that. On Monday at the University of Texas at San Antonio, the police were called on a black student in class. The reason? The student had put her feet up on the back of a chair in class.
Now, was that chair being occupied by someone? That's the question.
Yeah, I don't know that answer. What I do know is that the student, who's a female, she put her feet up on the chair. Now, there seemed to be, the prior week, I believe it was, because this was Monday, the prior Friday, seems to be that there was some sort of beef between that student and the biology professor. Her name is Anita Moss. So there was some type of incident, and the students in the class said that the Professor Moss came to class on Monday with student conduct guidelines in hand to talk with the student. So she told the student who had her feet up on the chair to put them down. The student complied. The other students in the class believed that, I guess she was so perturbed by what had happened earlier in the last week that she had enough or something like that. And even though the student complied, she called 911. She called the police, and there's actual video of this. Somebody in the class, one of the students in the class, they actually took video of this. So you can see exactly when the police got there and, exactly what happened. So that was the police leading the student out of class. after this, you can imagine, because this didn't make national news, you can imagine that, the university was going to do something about it. The university's president, Taylor Amy, issued a statement to students on Monday saying the school is looking at the incident through an investigation into, quote, possible discrimination and, quote, academic management of the classroom. And then on Tuesday, the president, Amy, said that those conducting the investigation had met with the escorted student and with Moss, the professor, and they will allow another professor to teach the class for the rest of the academic school year.
I guess that's
for the semester.
For the semester, yeah.
For the semester.
I think that's the right move by the university, because judging from how the professor kind of responded to her in this very, very minor altercation, minor instance, minor infraction, I don't think those two people should be in any room together.
No. And we don't know what the prior altercation was at this point. I haven't heard. I've heard people allege yes, there was some type of disagreement between the two, but nobody, I don't believe, has specified what it was.
To me, like, I don't have to know it. It doesn't matter. But if all the facts are kind of accurate, and they are facts, if these are the actual facts of the case in this situation, then I'm just going to assume there has to be some sort of like animosity somewhere, because it's just, why would you overreact like that? Like, I'm wondering whether she even told the girl, I'm calling the cops. Did she say, hey, you had your feet on the seat, get out the classroom? Like, did she even go there first? Or was like the first inclination to call the cops?
Is that a reasonable request though?
I know.
Is that even a reasonable like punishment? You had your feet on a chair. When I told you something about it to get your feet off, you complied.
You complied.
Now get out of class. Or it's just, you're being petty at that point. So that's what it feels like to me. You're being petty because of what possibly happened on that prior Friday.
Yeah, exactly. So I think no matter how you look at it, it still is weird. So it's either petty because of some other incident, or it's just an overreaction in this instant, which either way just seems like very, I don't know, very out of place. Like, you
at least, I would have, at least, I still wouldn't have, I guess, supported her decision to call 911, but I was expecting that the student did not like adhere to her request to get her feet off of this chair. Like, that would have made at least a little bit more sense, just a little bit more. It still would have been excessive, but still it would have been like, okay, disruptive student, not following the professor's orders.
But again, isn't there like levels to disruption? Like, there's levels to it. Like, there's certain class rules that like you can weigh and say like, oh, these are minor, and then these are severe.
Yes.
These are severe enough to where you need to get out the class. If putting your foot or feet or legs on the seat in front of you is some sort of a prohibited action, that's fine.
Fine.
I have no fine with that being like some rule that she has for her class. But I think like,
if that equals 911,
objectively, we can all say that that's a minor infraction that doesn't require somebody to leave or exit the class, because I don't think that would constitute some sort of action that is distracting the entire class or disruptive. I don't think you could classify that as a disruption. And to me, that is the only reason why someone should be called, like cops should be called.
If there's ongoing disruption, if you're impeding
everybody else's learning
the material that the biology teacher is trying to get through, something would have to be done. Again, we can debate if that's something that has to be done involves calling 911 or not. Yeah, we can debate that. But if somebody is just putting their feet up on a chair and then complies with your request to put them down, you completely overacted. And
2-Bit Rasputin says the teacher is trying to dominate the student and humiliate her. And that's kind of like what I thought. Yeah. Because I'm like, wow, like, and this is happening in front of her entire class. That just seems like something somebody would do to humiliate somebody. Like,
what other reason would it be? I mean, like you pissed me off. you got on my nerves, so you know what I'm going to do? Got something for you. Because she's an authority.
Yeah, Toblin Summers says something about you might be able to tell it's racism if maybe the next time a white student does it. Like, to me, I'm not really concerned with that. It could be. I don't know enough about the situation to kind of drop that, kind of race bomb onto it.
I wouldn't say, there's no way that we can say that it's racism or not. The only thing that we can say is that we see many of these different type of scenarios where there's no crime being committed.
We're not saying it's impossible.
The person that is being, or the person that has the cops called on them is a person of color, is a black person. And it's totally improper. So
there might be that angle to it, but we just don't know. Could be. Right now, kind of just focusing on kind of her overreaction. Yeah. I think that's enough. There might be that extra added kind of spice to it.
It does make you wonder,
be extras, but it makes
if it was somebody that was, if it was a white person, would this have happened? It does make you wonder when you see all these other different incidents that go typically in this same type of manner. It does make you wonder, would this have happened? Yeah. So anyway, let's go to the next situation, because there's another situation where the cops were called on a black woman for not committing a crime. So this woman, her name is Tirza Wilbon White. And this was at a Dunkin' Donuts in Fairfax, Virginia. So Miss White, she has been visiting this Dunkin' Donuts, this particular establishment, for a few years. And on this occasion, as in on many occasions, she took her laptop. Dunkin' Donuts advertises that they offer free Wi-Fi. In fact, many places, you can look at it online, like they're one of the best places to go there to, be privy to their free Wi-Fi, like just like Starbucks or something like that. It's an establishment where you can go in there and use their free Wi-Fi. There's no password or anything like that. It doesn't say anything about how you have to purchase something.
Just come in and chill. They're trying to kind of
a community atmosphere,
kind of emulate Starbucks. Exactly. They want people up in there because they think like once you get up in there and smell that sweet stuff, you're gonna buy something anyway.
Yeah, enjoy the surroundings. Yeah. Hey, yeah, exactly. You might want a cup of coffee. You might want a donut, something like that. Whatever. So anyway, that's been the case for a very long time. So again, she's been doing this for years. On this particular occasion, an employee that she was not familiar with came up to her and stated that she had to buy something. She couldn't just stay there and not purchase anything. She couldn't just enjoy the free Wi-Fi. She had to purchase something. So Ms. White was very perplexed. She was like, I don't understand this. I've been doing this for forever. And
she said like 8 years or something, right?
Yeah, I think she said 2 years.
2 years.
I think she said 2 years. But she said she's been, around to different Dunkin' Donuts all around the country. Same thing. You can go in there, use the free Wi-Fi. She said that she was planning on buying like a cup of coffee, I believe, but
she was just chilling.
Yeah, she was just chilling at that moment.
You know what? I'm glad you mentioned that because this is what a lot of people do, because I've worked in a place that had a coffee shop.
Right.
A lot of people come in and they have people they're going to meet.
Right.
And they have study groups, or they just have 1 or 2 people they're going to meet. It doesn't have to be a group. And you know what they do?
Yeah.
They come in and they set up their stuff and they want to drink their coffee or eat their stuff while they're working.
Right.
Or while the other person's there. So they wait on that person. Happens all the time, everywhere.
Yes, it does. All the time, including at Starbucks, which is why that case with the 2 black gentlemen, and they were waiting
on people.
A business meeting.
That's what people
do,
because they want they want their coffee to remain hot during the time that they're working or studying or whatever.
But again, she didn't recognize this particular employee that was coming up to her and saying that she, she couldn't just stay there. She had to buy something. So she began recording, and it wasn't just her as well. It was her, and there was another black gentleman that this employee was telling that, you can't stay here, and just not buy anything, even though she told her that she planned on buying something. It's just ridiculous. Anyway, but she did begin recording, and so this is some of the video that she took.
I'm in a Dunkin' Donuts that's requiring 2 brown people to make a purchase in order to stay here and use the internet.
And again, it's nothing against you. We're just trying to make our customers customers feel safe.
So I have to share with you. This is unfortunate, but I have to share with you. So he is a brown person. I'm a brown person. We're in your store. I've been here for 2 years.
Listen, don't get into racial profiling. It's my family. It's next.
It's your family. What?
What?
It's your family? No, I'm saying you have to.
Racial profiling. You
really?
Leave my location of your. I find that offensive.
I find what you're doing offensive. Why do you think I'm asking you and filing a complaint? You don't get to say to me, I go to Dunkin' Donuts all over the nation and I walk in here. Okay, I'm black, so you don't get to trump my experience because you have family who are related. I'm in your store and I go to Dunkin' Donuts all over the place, and now you want to call the police because you don't like what I'm saying?
You're offending me.
Okay, guess what? That's not a crime. Have you seen the? Have you seen?
That I'm racial profiling you. I treat everyone the same. Everybody.
Yeah, really?
So you can take your recording and do what you want with it.
I will.
At the end of the day, you're trying to blackmail me.
I'm not black. Why?
That I'm treating you different. That's not true.
No, I'm telling you that my experience in this Dunkin' Donuts.
Because you're recording me without telling me. So now I will.
Guess what? Virginia is what's called a one-party consent state, and I'm allowed.
You're obviously.
But this is the This is the viral videos of white people who call the police because they're upset. Yes, it is. What crime? The police are for crime. What crime? You're upset because your feelings are hurt because I'm telling you that I use Wi-Fi everywhere. Yeah.
All right. So the employee, the woman that she was talking to, at first when she was talking to her, the woman identified herself as like working for like quality control or something like that. But then later on, I believe the other employees that she talked to said that was the owner. So she is the owner. Her name is Christina Cabral. So you saw exactly what happened there. And the police were called, and there was a video of that too. We're not going to show that, but she talked with the police officers. You know, it ended. You know, she did leave the location, but it wasn't like a big thing.
A
with
brawl.
The police. It wasn't a brawl. You know, she didn't have hands. No
scene or
like
nothing.
No, she was just trying to explain her case and trying to explain that there was no valid reason for her to be removed from that location at all.
When you sent me the story, and I was reading it, and then reading the account of White, I was like, ain't no way she was calm. I was like, there's no way, especially when you feel you're being mistreated, potentially being racially profiled. I was like, man, because I read it before the video started playing, and I was like, ain't no way she was calm.
Oh, she was calm.
But then I watched the video, I was like, yo, she just sounded like her tone was like having any other conversation, like a regular conversation. So it wasn't like she was berating the woman. She was pretty calm. Now, one thing I don't understand the notion of is calling the cops for in-store disputes, in-business disputes. Unless the customer is being like belligerent, unruly, affecting other customers' experience, I don't think there's a need to call the cops. I managed a place for nearly 20 years, and I didn't call the cops once, and I've been cursed at, I've been talked down to, people giving me the middle finger, etc. You name it. The only time I've called the cops is for shoplifting situations. But to call the cops because my feelings were hurt, now, what Cabral claims that, I'm not calling the cops because my feelings are hurt, but literally 5 seconds before that, she said, you offended me.
Yes, and that's when she picked up the phone.
That's when she picked up the phone. I was like, so it's like in the moment, she made a claim and didn't recognize that, her claim was kind of false. But it's in the moment, so I wouldn't expect her to recognize it. She just felt offended and her feelings were hurt, and she picked up the phone and she didn't even realize that's why she did it. I honestly think she didn't realize that's the sequence of events that took. That's why she was quick to deny it. I was like, no, I'm not. I'm calling the cops because what reason did she use?
I don't even know. I don't even look. Her reasoning for I guess calling the cops and her reasoning for just having this disagreement with this particular individual was all over the place. Before this recording took place, though, I think Yeah, no, actually, it was a little bit. We didn't show you that part of the video, but on the earlier part of the video, she talked about that there had been fight that broke out. You know, people had just been, you know, there hanging out, stuff like that, and there have been some concerns, like some fights, something like that. Police have been called.
There was a situation where somebody smashed a laptop one time.
So
basically, two situations.
Right, and so it was like a year ago too. But she said, but I'm not saying that you're dangerous. I'm not saying that, like that's not about you. So it's like, okay, hold on. You're saying that people loitering here, you know, it could invite some trouble, some violence, some damage to property, maybe something like that. How does that have anything to do with me with my laptop doing what I usually do for like 2 years, just coming here, chilling? And then if I choose to, you know, I buy something. As I told you, I was going to buy something too. So why do you still have a beef? So it was about that too. It was about the danger. Then she was talking about her being offended. She talked about blackmail too. Like, hold on. Her name is Tears on Wilbon White, right? Now, was she trying to get anything out of this Dunkin' Donuts or anything like that?
All she was trying to do was talk to her.
Yeah.
That's all she was trying to do was talk.
She wasn't trying to get like some free food or anything like that. She wasn't holding up the place or anything like that. She wasn't like threatening to, hey, I'm a threaten to release this video, and so if you don't want to release, give me like $100,000.
She wasn't causing a scene. You know the funny part, right? She was like, I think because White was recording it, and she probably got uneasy, and she said, "You're recording me without my consent."
But she wasn't easy before. She wasn't uneasy before that. White was recording for like at least a full 2 to 3 minutes before she got offended.
I think no. This
and then after she got offended, it changed to, you know what? You're recording me without my consent. I'm calling the police.
Exactly, because she was trying to look for something to get out of the situation.
It changed along the way.
Everything changed along the way when she figured out that, damn, my answers suck. Like when she started figuring out that, yo, this lady is really not an
idiot.
Exactly. She's not accepting my bunk ass answers. So damn, I gotta like get out of this somehow. Yeah. So I'll just say, you're recording me against my will. And yo, your girl was like, according to VA law. I was like, damn. And did you see her reaction when the girl started, when White started like quoting the actual law? She was like, you're right. She was like, oh shit, she got me. Damn. Let me walk away right quick.
And still call the cops.
Yeah. She walked away because she recognized, like, damn, I smashed my face up against the wall again. Man. So let me pick my face up and then walk away. That's when she walked away. That last little situation with her trying to say that being recorded was against the law. When she figured out, shit, that ain't gonna work. Let me walk away from this situation. My thing is, like, once she loosely admitted that, hey, I'm just enforcing the rules. This was a rule, we just weren't enforcing it. You're loosely admitting that you weren't enforcing a rule, because that's what she said. That's what Cabral said. Even though the rule's not posted, it is a rule. We just weren't enforcing it.
And she said she was gonna order signs.
So basically, she's basically saying like, but to me, once you admit that, you lose. Once you say a rule wasn't being enforced, you lose. Especially when somebody has been coming in there for 2 years and that rule wasn't being enforced.
Now it's an arbitrary rule.
Now it's an arbitrary rule. Yeah. But okay, like me, I actually wrote a statement for Ms. Cabral. Something that would have worked better in that situation. Probably something that I would have done. If there was a new rule and it was the first day of the rule, you know what you do? You let the people that are already in there stay. She could have said something like, I understand your inconvenience and frustration. You weren't aware of this rule on this visit to this location. So you can stay as long as you previously intended. It's a rule you should keep in mind on your next visit.
Right. Going forward, this is the new rule, but you don't impact people that are enjoying you not implementing that rule for years.
Took me 10 seconds. I was like, let me see. I was like, that's easy. I was like, that took me like 10 seconds to come up.
That happens customarily.
Happens all the time.
Everywhere.
It just feels, to me.
New rule, you educate people that have been coming there going forward, not right now because you're here and you're used to things a certain way, but going forward, we're changing things up. So I just want to let you know that, okay? Have a good day. Enjoy your
What are you losing? What are you losing? There just seems to be like this need to try to like over police this environment beyond what's necessary. Yes, keep a lookout for people who are trying to abuse the system. Yes, keep a lookout for people who are dangerous or who are in there, only in there to cause problems. But when you see that there's people who are not, like really, like how much are you losing in that situation? It just seems like she wanted to.
Well, that's why you have to kind of question the motive here. That's why it gets into, okay, is this because of the pigmentation of the people that were involved? That's when you get into that, because it doesn't seem to make sense. Why did you take this so far? Why did it seem like your little sensitivities got so wadded up and you couldn't take it anymore? You had to call 911 even though nobody was committing a crime. The woman told you that she had planned on buying something anyways. Let it go. But something held you. Something held you there. Something obstructed you from like just being like, you know what? Hey, this is a customer that's been enjoying our services for a very long time, years. She said that she's planning on buying something. Why don't I just let it go? That's profit. But again, that's why you have to call in.
But how much? But again, like what? How much? Like, are you losing or gaining profit by like how you engaged in this moment? Are you actually losing someone, or are you actually gaining someone? You see what I'm saying? Because in this case, it by bringing up those other instances, she did kind of suggest that these women, and her particularly, were people that could potentially engage in that behavior. By bringing up those two incidents, that's what she did. She didn't realize that. That's why the woman took offense. She was like, what does it have to do with me? Yeah. You basically looked at me. By bringing up those two instances, you basically looked at me and said that I'm a risk. Yeah. So that's why she brought up the racial angle. And Cabral is just not like smart enough or not like self-aware enough to know that saying that kind of gives suggestion to what White was trying to bring up. You see what I'm saying? And she just got offended. She instantly got offended and didn't want to have anything to do with the conversation. I think that's the tone that I got, and that's the energy I got from her. If you look at her body language, it's like the whole time, it was like, you can tell it was just very combative. Like, I'm not even going to turn in your direction.
Especially towards the end, she was very dismissive.
She was dismissive. That's probably the better word to use in this case. And she was like kind of not even directly facing her. She was just like, yeah, whatever. I ain't like that. I got black friends. I got black family, blah, blah, blah. Sure. And it's like, and White, like I said, surprisingly, because I don't know if I would have been able to like be that calm. There would have been a lot of bass in my voice. She sounded like she was like reading a children's book to the lady. But like the lady's reaction was kind of, I guess, overboard compared to what she was receiving from White. I guess the tone. So that's kind of what threw me off. Just the body language and the dismissiveness, like you said.
Again, man, just another day in the United States of America where, unfortunately, you see a white person that is not witnessing a crime, is not, the victim of a crime or anything like that. They just feel some type of way because black people exist. It just seems like that. We can't speak for every single situation. It just seems that this happens time and time again, and it's always black people that are, that have the police called on them for ridiculous reasons. So anyway, so let's get to another, I guess I can call it a racial story, something that involves race. This is, we're going to Tennessee. Let me just find the story here. Yeah, okay. All right. So, I think we have the picture here. Yeah, all right. So, a group of white women in Tennessee set out to prove that a shopping mall in Memphis engages in racial profiling this past weekend. They were prompted by a video showing young black males being escorted out of the mall days earlier, with one of them being placed in handcuffs. The reason that was provided was because they wore hoodies, and this mall obviously has some type of policy against hoodies or against people concealing their faces, their identity. So the man that took the video of the young black males being let out, he stated that at no time did he see the young black males wearing the hoodies on the top of their heads. But nonetheless, they were escorted out. So going back to the group of white women, they decided to go to this particular mall, which is called the Wolf Chase Galleria, wearing hoodies. So this is them.
Happy to be here with somebody.
Picked the wrong one.
That was nose wide open.
Yeah, nose wide open. So this is them in all their glory, wearing hoodies to the mall. So one of the women, Sherry Ennis, she told a local Fox station, it just struck a chord on us that we could do that. We could walk through here, we could take pictures, we could wear whatever we wanted. Another one of the women, whose name is Shannon Arthur, she posted on Facebook, sometimes our hoods were up, sometimes our hoods were down. One guard said it was because, no. If a security guard spotted us with our hoods up, they very politely asked us to take them down. One guard said it was because they needed to be able to identify everybody's faces. So we said, sure. Took them down, walked on, put the hoods back up a bit later, repeat, no threats, point made. So...
they didn't realize they were being played. That was the funny part. I'm like, well,
that is funny.
I'm like, wait a second, y'all don't sense, like, your spidey senses don't go off? You got 4 women. Like, how often does that happen, dog? Like, you have 4 women who look like they're in their 30s, wearing hoodies, and like putting them up, and then you tell them to put them down, and they put them up again. You know you're on candid camera.
And I think they said that they walked probably about a mile's distance through the mall. So
they were
back
just
and forth
back,
a few times.
Again, back and forth, not going anywhere, not shopping.
Just
like,
trying to make a point.
Just trying to make a point. Like,
so, again, Shannon Arthur, she continued on Facebook. She said, I respect law enforcement and mall cops, but there's no question that some members of our community are constantly harassed and traumatized where those with less melanin are given a pass. We must do better. So here's where I say, this is how you use your white privilege correctly. This is how you do it. Now, I've stated before, we've talked about white privilege a few times, maybe a handful of times. It's not something that I ever really think about. I don't go day to day in my life, and the words are not even in my head. It's not a day-to-day thing. It's not a week-to-week thing. It's not a month-to-month. It's just nothing. It's just something that I don't ever really consider. I mean, it's not something that I think about. Now, does white privilege exist? Yes, and I hate that it exists. I have a problem with white privilege existing. Now, do I have a problem with white people that benefit from white privilege? No. Like, because that's just a symptom of our society that you have white privilege. Now, I don't have a problem with white people because it's just here. I mean, it's like I'm not gonna have a problem with the individual because of the state of affairs in the United States of America. Mm-hmm. Now, if that particular white person denies that they have white privilege, well, that's when I get a little annoyed because I know that it exists. I know that no matter who that white person is, in some way, you're not going to experience the same type of things that people with more pigmentation, more melanin in their skin have to experience.
And my thing is, like, if it doesn't exist, how come there are so many stories and so many instances where somebody tried to use it to get out of something?
Yeah.
Like that chick that got pulled over for drunk driving. What did she tell that officer?
She said,
I'm white. I'm a white stallion or something. I'm a white girl and I'm pretty. I'm a white girl.
Thoroughbred or something.
I'm a white thoroughbred, and I'm innocent. Basically, I'm a girl next door.
Right.
Now, again, this is somebody who was like, I don't even think she was at drinking age. So she was drinking at age. She was like 19, 20, something like that. So where did a 20-year-old get that? Does a 20-year-old come up like with that kind of idea all by herself, or is that something that's nurtured in a society? She would not try to use it if it did not exist.
True. So that's why I applaud these white women for doing something that goes beyond just proving a point. Because again, their story has been shared thousands of times. It's something that is educational for this nation as a whole. Now, what impact will it have? You know, we have no idea. But I like that they took on this problem that they saw in their community and they decided to raise awareness to it.
What do you think?
We're white and we can do whatever we want to in this mall. We can do the same things that these black males did, these young black males did, but we're not going to be led away in cuffs. We're not going to be we're just going to be told to stop doing it. But then we continue doing it and nothing.
What do you think about the rule the rule of the mall. The rules that did not specify what you can and cannot wear. It's just kind of vague. It says...
It wasn't a printed rule.
It wasn't a printed rule. It's just things that do not conceal your identity.
Right.
But I think like this does kind of hit home for us because we experienced this when we used to go out back in the day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We used to try to go to clubs, and we just recently found out months ago that some of these same rules are still in place at these clubs that are in our city, like, where they have these decade later. Yeah. But like honestly, they're not dumb. The people who make the rules for the mall, they're not dumb. They do it for a reason. I think the ambiguity is intentional. The ambiguity is definitely intentional so that you do have grounds to harass or approach certain people. You know what I'm saying? That's why the rule's there. And the boys that did get escorted out and arrested because of their hoods, witnesses say their hoods weren't even up.
Yeah, exactly.
Witnesses actually said that security began following them as soon as they walked through the door and their hoods weren't up. So they were.
So what made them follow them?
They were already they were already getting kicked out the minute they walked in that mall.
So the person that took that video, like I said, the one that was taking the video of them being accosted by the security guards, he said that no, he never saw their hoods up on their head. In this case, though, these white women took it a step further. They actually put it on their heads, walked around. Security might have said, hey, you need to take that down, and they obliged. But were they let out?
Was anybody placing handcuffs? Actually, what I saw was the young black male that was getting like approached by the cops. At that moment, his hood was down.
His hood was down.
His hood was down.
Yeah. Like I said, that goes into the narrative that was provided by witnesses and the person that was videotaping, saying that they never put their hoods on.
Here's the thing, like when you're at school, right, and there's a dress code, it's not vague. It's not vague, it's very specific. Yeah. They get way specific. Like if your hand, if you put your hands to the side and your skirt is 3 inches above your fingertips, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, no, your hair can't be below this. Or
hair dyeing rules.
There's they're very specific. So I'm just like kind of confused as to why, if the mall wants people to kind of comply, like why weren't they specific about specific things? And
what if I'm visiting the city? What if I'm visiting the city? It was raining that day. I brought a hoodie.
Or it was cold that day.
Or it was cold. Yeah, exactly. Like, why wouldn't you specify what the rule is if you want somebody and have it plastered right as soon as you enter every single entrance?
Because it's meant to be ambiguous. That's the intent. It's meant to be ambiguous so they have the grounds to kind of go after certain people.
And implement it unfairly.
Because, again, we experienced this in the city we live when we tried to go out, where we were denied entry into a club even when we complied with the rules. And then we saw white people walking out of the club with that same attire on.
Looking sloppy. Looking sloppy, man.
Oh, you sound bitter when you said that.
We were bitter at the time. I still feel, man.
Yeah, I still feel some kind of way about that, because it's just like some of the stuff. I remember it's one of my favorite shirts, man. It was like a polo shirt, and polo is a sport. And they have these, button-ups, like basically casual shirts. It's like a half button-up. I was wearing it. It's like in between, it's like weird. It's like in between dressy and casual.
Yeah.
And it had the number 3, and it had the polo dude. It had a number 3 stitched on.
I remember that.
Just the number 3.
I remember that.
They wouldn't let me in the club because they said it was athletic wear.
Yep. Even though it was like a polo shirt.
I was like, having a number on it doesn't make it athletic wear. But that's too logical.
See, some people don't. See, again, this goes to white privilege, because some people won't understand like what we actually go through. Again, it's not. This isn't about being accosted by the cops or something like that. It's not to that degree. Although, yeah, but not on this front. I'm not talking about that right now. But a lot of times when we used to go to the club, it'd be late, it'd be midnight. You had tension built up in you because you know how it could possibly go at the front door. So you were already preparing yourself, and you had to be, your back was straight. You were trying to, stand really proper, not be too loud or anything like that. Just be very, very, very calm, and just, just walked. Like almost you had to be professional to be allowed to get up into the club, even though what I'm wearing is no different than what any other white person is wearing.
Even though it ain't even that type of club. Because
Not even that.
There's clubs that want
clubs
want to maintain a certain like class level.
Yeah.
But
we ain't talking about
we ain't talking about those clubs, because I've actually been to those clubs. They'll just have like no t-shirts and no sneakers.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Mm-hmm. And most of the clubs that have that policy, I don't see them waffling on it. No. I don't see them treating certain like people with favoritism. The only time they treat people with favoritism is if they're a VIP. I ain't got nothing to do with that.
Exactly.
You pay more.
Celebrity
you know somebody in the club. Like, I don't care. If I knew somebody in the damn club, you best believe I'm getting in regardless of what I'm wearing. So I can't hate on that. If you know somebody, you know the bouncer, you know the owner, you can get in with however you wearing, whatever you want to wear. But for the most part, those clubs that just want to maintain a certain like ambiance, a certain atmosphere, it's more of like an upscale club. Specifically clubs for like people over 30. They usually have that policy. Right. And I've been to those clubs, and I don't remember the last time I saw a club like that treat people differently. The only time I saw that was with clubs that were for younger people. And it's not even upscale shit. I'm like, there's people with flip-flops in your damn club.
And see, it really does depend on the area that you live in too, the area where the club is, just the area that you are in. In South Carolina here, of course, this is a very southern state, a very, country state, conservative state. So in our area, bullshit like that tended to happen. When we went to Miami, did we experience any of that kind of nonsense?
Never,
Absolutely not. Never was a concern, not in one single establishment.
Yo. This rule right here is a doozy. This will blow them away right here. Remember the hat rule? See, I don't wear hats, so I know this kind of like this is like his neck of the woods right here. This is his area, so it didn't affect me because I wasn't a hat wearer. This is a professional hat wearer right here. This mug had like a hat for every outfit, dog. This mug had like a hat for every outfit. So this mug was about his hats.
Yeah, man.
They had a policy at some of these clubs where the brim couldn't be straight. You couldn't get in with a straight brim. The brim had to be bent like this. I'm like, damn, does it have to have a fish hook too? Does it have to have a mesh part too? You know what I'm saying?
I'm like, yo, how you trying to police brims? Like what?
The brim police.
Are you serious?
The brim police, dog.
And it, like I said, arbitrary rules, and it's just so ridiculous. So, like I said, that's on the small scale. Well, I mean, it's still annoying, but still, it's on the small scale of white privilege and what people of color have to deal with. But thinking about this case here in Tennessee, and these black people, young black males are being let out just simply for being there with a hood. It's asinine, man. It's disgusting. And like I said, I'm glad that these white women use their white privilege to actually prove that point. So I'm hoping this is shared even far, even wider than it already has been. So maybe more people can actually take a look at it and be like, well,
it just makes me go out and just want to. It just kind of makes me want to go get myself a few hoodies, man.
Exactly.
It's like I almost feel like I got to embrace hoodies. I got to, you know what I'm saying? I got to diversify my wardrobe with some more hoodies, man.
And go to Memphis.
Because I only really got two. And one probably will get me stopped because it's an HBCU hoodie.
Yeah. We should organize an event going to Memphis to this particular mall. Nothing but hoodies. Nothing but hoodies. Go ahead, stop us all.
Stop us all.
Stop us all, man.
Stop us all. Stop all of us.
But see, it was just a few of them. Make an example out of you two. Y'all ain't gonna make no noise.
Y'all ain't gonna make no noise. And I think it may help if the people who were kind of doing such a protest were older people like us.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because I think a lot of times younger people are targets because they don't know their rights and they don't have the experience to address certain situations like this. Typically teens and younger people are targeted because police feel that they can get over on them. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I think that's kind of why, we were approached in 5 points.
No doubt.
Because we look younger than what we were, and then mugs thought we ain't no shit. Right. Mugs thought we were just gonna bow down and shit, man. So
it's disgusting, man. All right, let's get to we got a few last ones to talk about. You know, these ones are for a little bit of fun.
Just lighten it up a little bit. The serious stuff is out the way.
Yeah, we're gonna have a little fun with these. All right, so even though it's a serious issue, this first one, so climate change is a very serious issue. It's very serious. See, you already laughing, man. What are you talking about, man? Climate change is a very serious issue, Mike.
Yes.
Again, we've talked about it on numerous occasions. We even talked about it on the last broadcast because there was a sit-in protest at the office of House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi. That was involving the Sunrise Movement and the Justice Democrats. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez showed up, and that was meant to urge the Democratic Party to stop taking money from fossil fuel companies and to make climate change a priority issue for the Democratic Party. Now, as we said on Tuesday, this is not something that is just about the Democrats. This is something that has to be about the Republican Party as well. Both parties need to move on this issue if we're actually able to save this planet, because that's what we're faced with right here. We only have one planet. The goal has to be to save the planet because I believe it's the only one that's inhabitable.
See, that's why these jokers want to go to Mars and shit. Don't know, because they know they fucking this planet up so much.
I know, right? Hey, just scoot on over.
Let's scoot on over to the other one, man. Yeah.
But anyway, so Republicans, though, for years and years, they continue to be science deniers. In the face of overwhelming evidence, they continue to say, we don't care. Temperatures rising, we don't care. Increase in hurricanes, that's just weather. That's just weather. The hurricanes coming.
Weather changes.
Yeah.
Weather changes. It's natural. It's normal. There's nothing we can do about it.
And not just an increase in hurricanes, too. We're talking about hurricanes that are more devastating as well.
And we're talking about there's sea level shifts in certain areas. Yes. We're talking about melting ice caps.
Yeah, ice caps.
The icebergs and whatnot.
We're talking about flooding.
Glaciers.
Talking about real estate, property damage.
Flooding.
Like I said, flooding. But still, Republicans are like, more wildfires, all of this is like, we could care less.
There's even health, like certain respiratory issues that people have because of the quality of the air in certain areas.
It's a big fat from the GOP, from the Republican Party. So a decrease in male fertility. So what? So what?
So when you say male fertility.
What? Decrease in male fertility? So what? So now there's a new study that was published in Nature Communications on Tuesday, and it indicates that higher temperatures results in reduced sperm counts. So the scientists that were involved with this study used beetles to test the results. The reason why they use beetles is because they're one of the most common species found on Earth. And then, quote, so these results are very important for understanding how species react to climate change. And that was from the study's co-author, Matt Gage, who's an ecologist at University of East Anglia in the UK. So also the lead author, Keir Sales, at the same university, he said, quote, research has also shown that heat shock can damage male reproduction in warm-blooded animals too, and past work has shown that this leads to infertility in mammals. So that's a problem. That's a problem.
Maybe that will wake some of them up. You know what I'm saying? When they figure out that they won't be able to, shoot their shot as good as they used to.
That's what I'm saying, man.
You know what I'm saying? Let's say their shot selection has been dwindled. They can shoot some free throws.
Yeah.
They may shoot some 15-footers, but they can't go behind the arc. The shot selection is severely diminished.
Again, like we're saying, it's always, what we're seeing from especially the Republican Party is it's profits over this planet. That's what we see consistently. We're anti-science. We don't believe in all that mumbo jumbo, right? But if you start talking about male infertility, you're talking about affecting sperm counts, then you're talking about, because a lot of these conservatives are also like religious bigots as well, right?
They're religious bigots.
Yeah. So these are the type of people that, you know, they don't believe in abortion, of course. They don't believe, a lot of them don't believe in birth control, because they want to increase the birth rate. And a lot of these people as well, and we're talking about the white people here, they especially want to increase the birth rate of white women.
Like Steve King.
He's
made a point. And the dude in Arizona, too, talking about demographics.
Yeah. That's right. So they want, you know, because they want to keep the dynamics of this country a certain
because they
way.
Can't keep up with all the, you know, the immigration
That's
one
correct.
time.
Yes.
They can't keep, you know, so.
Yeah. But so to the notion that birth rates might actually decrease because of climate change, like you said, maybe this is the thing that actually makes some kind of headway in the argument. Because, again, wildfires, hurricanes, ice caps melting, temperatures rising, all that doesn't seem to do the trick.
But if kind of they consider that their pecker won't be popping, then they might, you know, take another angle at this climate change issue.
All right. So also in the study published Tuesday, the researchers found that heat wave conditions 9 to 13 degrees above the typical temperature for 5 days damage male but not female reproduction. Heat waves reduce male fertility and sperm competitiveness, and successive heat waves almost sterilize males, the study says.
Damn, women win again.
You see what I'm saying? It doesn't affect women.
Doesn't affect women.
But it affects that sperm.
Ain't that some damn karma?
Damn.
The men have been on the forefront of fucking up the planet, and now some of, let's say, your scrotum integrity is taking a hit because of the planet you created. Now your balls ain't as efficient as they used to be at producing that juice.
Damn.
Producing that juice.
And see, because you got to go to the men's, because especially in the Republican Party, who has been leading the country, who has been leading the Republican Party for years and years and years?
The men's is,
man, right? So it's all your fault unless you actually step up to the plate and you do something about it. Again, all the other factors that we see related to climate change that I listed, they're shrugging their shoulders. It's a big fat shrug of the shoulders. But if you actually affect the damn future offspring,
once you kind of hear this information, if you don't, you don't reflect upon that and think about it, then you're nuts. Literally nuts.
It's gonna hit you right in the gonads, man. Nuts. And then one more aspect of this that I'll note, in this study, the offspring of the males who endured the heat, they lived shorter lives.
Oh, so you die quicker too? Damn, like, so you live a short, unpotent life? That sucks. Living a short, unpotent life.
Again, man, I haven't seen anybody really talking about it. I have seen some articles about it, but you need to put this into the hands of some Republicans so they can reflect upon this news. But, you know, hey, this is still science, so they might shrug their shoulders at this too. But this will be a heavier... some more weight will be on the shoulders on this.
Oh, yeah, I was about to say.
There's a chance that you're going to affect my...
Yeah, I'm saying. Yeah, man. They're going to affect your ability to be a man, to show how manly you are.
I mean, there's some products out there that impact... sexual vitality.
See, that's when the stock for Viagra is going to go up.
Yeah.
That's when the stock for Viagra is going to go up.
All right, man. Like I said, man, we need to put this information into some conservatives' hands because your sperm counts, man, might be damaged in the future.
Is climate change affecting your ability to please a woman? Yo, man, that's a commercial I would like to see right there.
Yo, I'm turning that one up. I'm turning that one up.
I'm putting that on a billboard. I'm putting that on a billboard.
People gonna, you might cause an accident though.
What?
What the hell are you talking about? All right, let's go on, okay? People of Colorado, get ready to get high in a brand new way. So Keith Villa, who was a founding brewer with Blue Moon, he has embarked on a new venture called Syria Brewing Company. Now, if someone started a new brewery, that's hardly news. But in this case, it actually is. And it's because of what Keith Villa is actually doing with his company. So the first beer from Syria Brewing will be called Grain Wave Belgian Style White Ale, and it will contain 5 milligrams of THC. THC. So THC is the leading ingredient of the cannabis plant that produces that high
euphoric feeling. Yeah.
So this is definitely news because it has not been done before.
Dog, when I read this, I was like, even though it's not my business, I have nothing to do with it. I'm not going to make money from it, but that's what was like going through my head. Those little money symbols. I was like, wait a second. I was like, that's all people do is drink. I was like, that's like, to me, that's the most common sense product to incorporate THC into, because that's all people do. People drink during hockey games, baseball games, basketball games, football games, everything. People drink just in general. People go out Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That's what they do. That's what they do.
Yeah, people drink.
People drink. So
people
why
drink.
not?
Yeah, why not incorporate some THC and make some money off of it? So this is very innovative, no doubt, because like we said, it has not been done before. Now, federal law prohibits brewers from using cannabis in beers. So there are some brewers who have, they haven't used THC, they've used hemp, and that produces a similar, type taste or a similar type taste as marijuana. But again, THC cannot be used in beers according to federal law. So how the hell is Keith Villa getting around that? Simple. His beer will not include any alcohol whatsoever. So technically, it's not a beer.
It's just called beer because it's brewed.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
But
the
change, the euphoric element or the high element in this beverage will be the THC. It will not be alcohol content. So again, this is groundbreaking. And this first beer, the Grain Wave Belgian Style White Ale, it'll initially be available in Colorado in mid-December. But the owner, Keith Villa, he hopes to expand the distribution to California and Nevada soon as well, where, of course, recreational use of marijuana is permitted. So again, this is a picture of him and his wife, him holding the that first beer in his hand. So it's going to be available in individual bottles. I believe it's 64 calories per bottle. And it's going to cost about $9. 4 packs will cost less than $36. So then, I did start to think. I was like, "Damn, hold on, $9? that's pretty high for some damn beer or something like that for a beverage.
For a beverage, that's high.
But then I started thinking. I was like, hold up, it's got marijuana in it. I was like, if you buy marijuana, that's a pretty similar type of cost for it.
That is.
Yeah, so this is 5 milligrams. So, I won't say that I'm an expert with marijuana or anything like that, but 5 milligrams for many people, 5 milligrams will get you to the point where you might feel a little something. For people that are, amateurs, rookies, whatever you want to call them, it might get you to the point where you need to be. Now, for people that, partake in, smoking some weed or whatever, 5 milligrams ain't gonna get you anywhere. So they do have some, they are gonna have some different options. So they're gonna sell a light beer or, a light beer or whatever, and I think it's gonna contain about 2.5 milligrams of THC. And then there's another one, it's gonna be I don't know what they're gonna call it. I don't know what they're gonna call it. Oh yeah, India Pale Ale. Yeah. is going to have 10 milligrams. And they plan on introducing that within the first 3 months of 2019.
Would you try it?
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Hell yeah, try it.
I mean, it's been
no doubt.
I don't know the last time I even smoked anything, man. Probably
it's been a minute.
It's been a minute, man.
It's been a minute. We live in South Carolina though. Yeah, it's been a minute. But again, like I said, this is very interesting news. And like we said, I believe the owner, Keith Villa, was saying that, if you the standard one, the average one, like the 5 milligrams of THC, if you drink a couple of those, you'll be feeling a pretty good high. But for other people that, like I said, that I guess use marijuana consistently, you take a couple of the 10 milligram one, you'll probably be feeling pretty good after that. So for the cost, like I said, it's pretty reasonable. So, like I said, this business model, I assume that others are going to follow in his footsteps and try to make some company like this as well and try to brew their products with THC, but sans the alcohol. Very interesting, man. Very interesting.
What do you think the reason is that it's against the law to fuse those two things together? Alcohol, grain alcohol.
Well, first of all, alcohol is dangerous.
True.
I would put it at that. Alcohol is dangerous. I mean, alcohol and weed. I think alcohol takes over, though.
You think so? Because alcohol, alcohol is a sedative.
Yeah.
It gives you a slight buzz, and then it kind of sends you down a little bit. That's why people gotta keep drinking, because they want to maintain that buzz.
You think that? Well, I don't know. Like I said, I can't say for sure. I'm not an expert. I can't say for sure. But we know that alcohol is dangerous. You drink a lot of alcohol. It's not a euphoric feeling. You drink enough of it, your world's gonna come crashing down on you feeling. I mean, you can create a whole lot of mayhem with some.
Yeah, the effects are slightly different with alcohol. It does affect your motor skills in a slightly different way than does when you smoke weed.
Yeah.
Like weed tends to slow everything down.
Yes.
To whereas alcohol tends to just fuck everything up.
Yeah. You've heard of mean drunks before,
and
too.
it doesn't just slow things down. When you drink alcohol, it kind of just, your motor skills aren't just slowed down.
Yeah.
They're all over the place.
I've never heard of a mean weed head. Somebody mean that was on.
So maybe marijuana. it might act as some sort of counter agent. Might calm them down. Maybe they don't get mad. But no, I don't know. I think that's based on how it fucks up your liver. Usually people who have anger issues, they also have liver problems too, and that's what alcohol.
Is it possible the reason is because of lobbying as well, that they can't be combined? Is it possible because of
that's probably because
companies as well?
Alcohol companies probably lobby for that to happen. They ain't getting in on this.
Yeah, exactly. That's your way in, that's your way to make it more acceptable. Soon more and more states will legalize it, and alcohol will be losing profits. Might be that. But again, in these states where recreational use of marijuana is in effect, hey, it's a brand new business opportunity. So I'm gonna definitely have to check with some people in Colorado in December to see what they feel about this new beer.
It's been a couple years since I've been to Colorado, so definitely if I go there, man,
I'm definitely interested. Like I said, I'm definitely interested in that. So, but anyway, we'll close off on this poll that I saw recently, just before we started the show. There's a new poll that was conducted by Hill TV and Harris X. So, women account for about 51% of the U.S. population. Okay, and although a historic number of women were just recently elected to the United States House of Representatives, over 100 of them, they still will only account for 22%. The overall percentage, women will only account for about 22% of the United States Congress, both houses. So this poll asked registered voters a question of were there just the right number of women that are going to be in Congress? Were there too many, or do we need more? So 46% of them said about the right amount of women. 46% of them said that's about the right. It's about the right amount. 41% of the registered voters said that there will not be enough women serving in the new Congress. So that's good. That's good. It's still lower than 46%, but it's still good. But 13% said too many women will be serving in both chambers.
Whoa, that's
13%, man.
That seems just a little more sinister than the other statistic that said that there are enough.
13%.
It's too much. It's one thing to say.
Nah, man.
It's
many women.
It's one thing to say there is enough, and that's it. That means you don't think any more should get in. Like that ceiling, we come to that ceiling. But it's like it just seems more sinister to say that there's too many. Like, what are you saying? Like, there's too. Like,
exactly.
It's like this little bit that we already have. Nah, that's just uncalled for. Like, that's what you're saying. These little bit of women that we do have up in there.
Again, the United States population. The United States population
is predominantly women. Yeah.
Predominantly women, 51%, about 51%, right? Now, I think the actual number, and I can't be sure because of the races that are still ongoing that haven't been called yet, but I think it's going to be like 117, might be a little bit more, something like. I think the number I saw was 117 total in both houses. There are 435 alone in the House of Representatives, 100 seats in the Senate. You're telling me only 22% of the seats are female? And these voters feel like that's too much?
Maybe it's the problem with the sample size and like.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't
know
what
I'm saying? Maybe the problem is not just the sample size, just like what kind of people were included in that sample. So
I will say,
I'm hoping,
like you said about the sample size, we don't know if it was majority women. We don't know if it was majority men.
I will
say
that the last statistic showed me that it was probably majority.
But see, this is one thing that we know too. Women do. They do engage in upholding male superiority. They do engage in, I guess, helping males foster a male-dominated society. There are a lot of women that do that, and we remember just a few weeks ago we showed some clips that tell that story. Yeah. So this is I mean, obviously. On both parts, if they're women, if they're men that are voting that way, that there are too many women, obviously it's about sexism. You don't want to see women in these spots, and it could be for any reason. It could be for misogyny. It could be for whatever. But my gosh, 13% said too many women. 51% in the country, but 22% in Congress.
I'm guessing that a lot of those are men, and maybe a small percent of that was women, but I'm guessing that was mainly men who responded like that. Certain type of man. Though.
You remember those women on CNN talking about Kavanaugh?
Oh my gosh! And the ones, what about the ones with Roy Moore?
Oh, the women for Roy Moore.
The women for Roy Moore. All of them who were like 40 years above Roy Moore's kind of his standards.
Yeah, his target group of girl. I can't say women. His target group of girl.
Yeah, but they were just more than willing to kind of support this dude, and there were a lot of voters who did because that race was close. We covered it, and Roy Moore was ahead for most of the time. Yeah, Doug Jones came up at the end.
And barely won.
Like with 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
Exactly. Barely won.
He pulled a Tracy McGrady. But Tracy McGrady scored 13 points in like 30 seconds.
I saw,
That's what
Reggie Miller at
the finals.
Yeah. Eastern Conference.
The infamous push-off. But yeah, that's...
2-Bit Rasputin saying too many CIA agents do. No. Just no, man. Just no. There were like two.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And that's even pushing it.
Yeah.
We looked into that, man.
Yeah,
we looked into that, man.
There were like two, man.
We looked into it for a reason because, hey, man, if that is something that's happened that we would, need to know about.
It would definitely be
curious.
interesting.
It would be interesting. And then I was rudely and surprisingly disappointed.
Military service does not equate to CIA involvement or even intelligence.
Or if you're a CIA analyst, that doesn't really mean your work in the CIA is very extensive. That means your job is to analyze shit. You basically get sent on site to take notes. Like you go to like Iraq, some sort of maybe area involved in some sort of war, maybe even civil war.
There are some low-level mugs in the CIA. Some very, very low-level people in the CIA.
I think
they can't all be
some sort of like
involved.
You mean like some sort of all like some clandestine black ops secret shit going down? Most of that shit is actually like, I guess, public information. You can go to their damn site. You go to FBI and the CIA site. I'm not saying that these organizations are completely clean, but you can't really assume that everybody who works for them has some sort of top-level clearance and is involved in some sort of government or political destabilization in some form or fashion. That's not always the case. I actually have friends who applied to the FBI because they have military experience or they have law enforcement experience with the FBI. Tends to look at those people first. They were just going to be like an agent or something. That's it. A lot of these FBI agents do work like forensic work, like financial forensics. That's what a lot of FBI agents do. That's nothing like special.
No, it's not.
Even sometimes a lot of them will conduct like damn surveys and shit. Yes. So many jobs in the FBI or in the CIA. It's not what you think it is. All that you're talking about that high level shit. Most of the time you wouldn't even know what they're doing. You wouldn't even have the knowledge to speak on anything that they're doing. If you do, then it's a lie or somebody's putting some false information out there. If you know anything about what the CIA is doing, then they're not as powerful as you say they are.
All right, so that's what we have for tonight. And we're definitely going to open this up for callers. If you want to join the program, it is very easy to do so. All you have to do is call a simple little number. And that number is 669-900-6833. Then you have to input the ID, and that displays on the screen as well. So definitely, if you want to join the conversation, we are here to take your call. We definitely want to hear from you. Want to hear your angle on some of these issues that we have been talking about.
Or if there's something else you might want to bring up, you know what I'm saying? We'll talk
Maybe
about that too.
some news has been made since we've been on the air that you want to talk about. I keep seeing these notifications about the Florida Senate race and how it's headed to a manual recount. We already knew that.
The numbers were already there.
Why are these notifications? We already knew that was happening.
It's like
this isn't breaking news.
It's like clearly within range. He clearly qualifies for a recount, or this particular race does.
Yeah, I don't understand. I don't understand why that's breaking news. That doesn't. I don't get it, man.
It's weird that it'd be different if Scott was on the other end and he was like demanding that a recount or just a count continue. He's demanding that shit stop. That junk, man.
But I don't think they were happy with Kirsten Sinema winning. I'm sure a lot of conservatives want that to keep going.
They want that to keep going. That junk
displays the hypocrisy.
Well, it displays hypocrisy, but I think it's more about projection. Whether they know it or not, I think they're all conscious of the Republicans' effort to suppress the vote.
Yeah.
And enacting policies and drawing districts to, so that their hold on power remains. And, a great portion of the population of certain districts have a hard time voting. I think they know that. So I think they're going overboard and talking about stealing elections because that's what they do. I think it's maybe a little bit of subconscious shit going on. Because it's like you think people do the same thing you do. Oh, they do the same shit we do. That must be what it is. It's easy to jump to that conclusion if that's what your ass does.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's true. We talked about on the last show and on election night too, the different states that in ballot measures they're doing something about gerrymandering, and that is to the chagrin of the Republican Party because again that is the way that they get ahead in a lot of these states.
Like what kind of mindset is that? What kind of mindset? Like
that's cheating. That's cheating. Exactly. But see, I guess it's lawful. It's lawful cheating. Until the case gets to the Supreme Court or something like that.
You're against a level playing field. That's what you're against. As a United States representative, you are against a level playing field.
That's correct. That's correct. Yeah. That's amazing, man. That's amazing. All right, let's look at this chat, see what's going on. Moose Guy said Gillum lost in Florida.
Okay.
Well, I don't know if is that a breaking
news headline? Because usually Moose Guy usually qualifies her statements like that by saying breaking news.
No, I don't see that anywhere. So
maybe it's not breaking. Maybe it was semi-breaking.
I mean, look, he that race is down over 30,000 votes.
Yeah,
he's down 30,000.
Yeah,
we don't suspect that he's going to come away with the win.
And he didn't expect either. It's just that he expects the law to be followed if he comes within a certain percentage. That's all. He even conceded. Yeah, so I don't know why people are getting bent out of shape about that race, as if there's cheating involved. Like, if there was, why would he concede? Do you see what I'm saying? He didn't even think, you see what I'm saying? He didn't even think that there was enough votes for him. Why would somebody who is cheating think that? He conceded.
So. Yo, if this is so, Moose Guy said breaking news: Illinois billionaire Governor-elect J.B. Pritzker won't take an annual state salary, according to the Chicago Tribune.
I mean, he's a billionaire. I mean, I guess
but still they take that salary.
They take that salary.
But that's good. That's good.
That's a good look. Optics are good on that.
Yeah. More good looks coming from him, man. More good looks from Pritzker, man.
Didn't Trump say he wasn't going to take a salary when he became president? Lying there. Malicious. Tim Canova is going to request to view the ballots. Wonder if Brenda Snipes will destroy them again. You know what? It wouldn't matter. Tim Canova ain't win. I don't think Brenda Snipes has to destroy ballots for Tim Canova to lose.
See, well, okay, because that was his claim.
That was his claim, and he filed a suit,
and that held more weight because he got about 42% of the vote.
He got 42% of the vote, so there was there was more reason to cheat, or there was more reason for Debbie Wasserman Schultz to cheat because he ran as a Democrat, and he ended up giving her a good run for her money, in my opinion.
Right. This time. Ooh, man, no.
It was bad. It was bad. It was bad.
It was real bad.
It was rough for my man.
Yeah, man. Like you said, I don't think anybody needs to do anything shady in that race.
Even if we're talking about a shady person like Debbie Wasserman Schultz, I think this was an instance where Debbie Wasserman Schultz was like, you know what, I don't have to be corrupt this time. For once, because, he's an independent. And you don't think she's checking those damn polls? You don't think she's checking the polls?
Right.
You don't think she's reading the tea leaves? You know what I'm saying? Come on.
Yeah,
Is that true? All Canova votes were put in the Wasserman Schultz column. I guess you're talking about voting machines. So now you're not talking about ballots. So we have somebody in the comment talking about ballots, and we have somebody talking about the voting machines. The only way that can happen is if there's some sort of maybe some voting forensics done. A way you could kind of examine to whether these claims about, that particular election being fraudulent, have another damn vote, see what the fuck happens. Or run a fucking poll and see what happens. Send an email to every registered voter, tell them to check their email, and then send an email back and say who you voted for. Maybe that'll work. But I don't think you can make claims like that unless there's solid evidence to them that all these votes are being flipped. And you got to have a lot of different people make that claim for such an assertion to stick. You have to have a bunch of people saying my vote got flipped, my vote got flipped, my vote got flipped. Yeah, I'm saying, do y'all even know the temperature of you know, her congressional district? Do y'all even know the temperature?
No.
Y'all even take the temperature?
No.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like who? Like
that's why Hillary Clinton is still popular in the state of Florida.
Do y'all know who? Like what group of people you're talking about? You know what I'm saying?
She's been the congresswoman from that district
since before Canova came along.
For years.
So before Canova came along, she was doing this. So what makes you think all of a sudden Canova's going to come in there and just steal all these damn votes away?
Now, it was a good look. Again, in 2016, it was a good look for him getting to 42%. I think that was a lot higher than some people thought that he could get. 42%. Again, it's still you know, it's not a close win, but still it's not just a landslide win.
Who's the governor? Who's the governor, Will?
Right now, it's Rick Scott. Right?
Okay then, shouldn't that tell you something? Shouldn't that tell you something? This dude, if he didn't have a nose, he looked like Voldemort. But he still got elected. We covered a story probably a couple of years ago where he ordered like mandatory drug testing for welfare recipients. And the company that was doing the drug test, his wife owned stock in or a percentage of that company. And he's connected to his wife even though it's not him. So like you're talking about Florida here, talking about a state where DeSantis beat Gillum.
Yeah, man. Florida. This is Florida, man.
Yo, Gillum at 17 was smarter than DeSantis. I saw a video of him. He was like, he's been in the politics since then. You know, I forgot what association he was a part of, but you know how high schools have political association. He was like the president of some association. He was 17. I couldn't tell the difference. Yeah. Like I saw the video, I was like, he's 17?
He's been living this life.
I was like,
I mean, he's been preparing for this since he was a teenager. Man.
I was like, he was smarter than most of your politicians were when he was 17.
Again, this is no slight on Tim Canova. It's just looking at reality. Like the night, I think it was the night after the election, or maybe even that election night, he was saying on Facebook, he said, for many reasons, tonight's results are impossible to believe. And for me, that I don't understand how that can actually come from you. You switch to independent. Again, this has nothing to do with support. This has nothing to do with the way we feel about Tim Canova because his politics do line up with ours. It's just that you change your affiliation or you change your political affiliation to no affiliation whatsoever.
Then guess what's going to happen?
That's not impossible to believe. I don't like we said. I don't think any shenanigans. I don't think any cheating had to be done. Debbie Wasserman Schultz constituents love her, no doubt.
Just because you don't,
many years.
I think just because you don't, you know what I'm saying, don't like exist in that bubble and then like I guess project that onto everyone else.
Think about the way all of us felt about Hillary Clinton. Still, she got some 60+ million votes.
Oh yeah, you can't. How can you deny that? And you cannot tell me that all of those votes were disgruntled Bernie voters. No, those are people who wanted to vote for Hillary Clinton. You can't deny that. The majority of them,
they wanted to vote for her.
They wanted to. So you're gonna have to accept the fact that there are a lot of people who wanted to vote for Debbie Wasserman Schultz. That seems to be harder for you to stomach than the other unfounded conspiracy.
All right, so we got our first caller of the night coming from the 443. Thank you for joining us for the program. What's going on tonight?
Hey, what's going on, fellas?
Chilling, man.
What up, Court?
I'm doing good. I'm just finishing up dinner, watching y'all show while I was cooking. What
you whipping up, man? What you whipping up?
I whipped up some baked chicken, some butter beans, collard greens, cornbread.
I know, but the butter beans. He's happy about the butter beans, man. He said that like a little kid, man.
Butter beans are good. It's good for you, too.
For real, they're good for you, man. Yeah.
So what you got for us tonight?
So I want to talk about the student in the college campus.
Right.
Like, I don't know, man. Like, I thought that was a little fishy, but I think y'all called it right. You can't really jump down the whole. You can't jump down the whole. The teacher was racist thing. I mean, it's suspect, but you can't really jump down that whole thing as a racist thing. I think that teacher did need to be reprimanded though, because if somebody complies with you, should stop right there.
Yeah.
If you tell somebody to do something and they do what you tell them to do, like, that's the end of the discussion. But I get it, because I used to work in a lot of professional settings and stuff, and people would call, like, security and stuff on me, because I work with tools and stuff. So sometimes I can look a little rough, especially in the wintertime. I'll have a hoodie on, or, you know, and I'm trying to stay warm or whatever, and somebody will just call security or call my boss or whatever, and it'll piss me off. But then I realize that sometimes it's not racism. Sometimes people are just worried about the black dude in the garage. Although sometimes then I sit back and question, and I say, why are they worried about the black dude in the garage who didn't say anything to him? But I guess we can get into all that.
Yeah, it's like I said, when I see so many of these situations happening and they don't make sense, it was like, hey, there's no crime being committed here. It just seems like you were perturbed for some reason, and it's like, why didn't you use something that, like, why didn't you choose another way to handle it? It just seems like, because you have to ask the question, is this racially motivated? Because you have to answer ask that question.
But like Court said, it should have ended right there when she complied. What that tells me is she was watching that lady, that student. She was watching that student.
Waiting for something.
Waiting for her to do anything, so to give her an excuse to kick her out of the class. And she was probably expecting the young lady to not comply. But when the lady complied, that probably threw her whole game off. She was probably planning on the student not complying and then calling the cops or kicking her out. But I guess once the scene, like, progressed in a way that she wasn't expecting, she just didn't adjust. So she just kept going, like it was going the way she planned it. And so that's why it doesn't make sense, because, like, she should comply. Because she was planning on,
that should be the end of it.
She was planning on,
get on with the lesson.
It didn't go as planned, but she kept on with the plan. Even though
exactly, like you said, she kept. You're saying that she possibly made that plan earlier in the day, maybe even that weekend.
Because the reaction doesn't make sense, like Court said. It should end once she complied, but she was like, "Shit, damn, she complied. I still got to do this though. I got to go through with it."
I appreciate what them four white women did.
Oh yeah.
In that mall.
No doubt.
I wish I could see more of that. I wish I could see more stories of that. That's like you were saying, Mike. Will, like you were saying, that's how you use white privilege. Is you go in and you use your immunity,
right,
to expose the flaws in the system. You know, and that to me was brilliant. And I really commend them women for doing that. And the hoodie thing, you know what I think the hoodie thing is? Because one of y'all asked, why is it hoodies? I think it has to do with the Trayvon Martin thing.
Yeah.
Because Trayvon Martin, when he was killed, I remember getting into a discussion with my boss. He was an ex MP. So he wasn't like he wasn't a traditional police officer, but he was a police officer. And his argument to me was that Trayvon Martin, you know, should have complied, he should have, I guess, got down on the, I don't know what he was arguing that Trayvon Martin should have done. But I came back and I was like, let me ask you this. If I come into your neighborhood and I follow you around and I confront you, why is it that you feel like you should get down on the ground and comply? Who's the stranger in the situation? Mm-hmm. Who's the one who's being aggressive? Who's the one who's on, your neighborhood ground telling you what to do? Trayvon didn't know who George Zimmerman was.
Right.
He had no idea who that man was. For him to ignore 911 and then go after him like that, that was probably what escalated the whole thing into that situation. But I think this, because I collect hoodies. I love hoodies. I have hoodies with graphics on them. I have plain hoodies. It's a utilitarian outfit. It's a great outfit, And I think what a lot of white people see when they see a black person in a hoodie is that it immediately takes them back to that situation, and they cannot let black people, I shouldn't say they, because that generalizes all white people. Some white people cannot let black people have any kind of a moral victory. And Trayvon Martin really was a moral victory, because George Zimmerman should have been put in prison for that, at least for manslaughter, because he was not a cop. He was told not to confront Trayvon Martin. He pushed that situation to the point that Trayvon felt like he had to defend himself, and any person who has any decency at all knows that Trayvon Martin was not wrong. And you can argue with me all day long about why he should have complied or whatever, but you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. And if the shit happened to, one of these, like my boss who was arguing this point, he wouldn't have complied. The only difference between him and Trayvon is he probably wouldn't have got shot. And that to me that's why a lot of white people are so apprehensive about black people in hoodies, because they want some white people want to find every different excuse that they can to be correct about their assessment of black people's morality. And it's a morality that's been taught to them that, if you see a black person who even so much as just looks happy or comfortable, they're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
It's like when you listen to hip hop music and one of the themes in hip hop music is I'm just standing here minding my own business and I have a nice car, so now I get harassed. It's like, yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
I'm glad you said or you included that it's not just about the hoodie. It's black people that are just minding their business, just going about their day-to-day lives, and some white people have a problem with that, and they feel that is suspicious. Just being black is suspicious, and that's what we see, like now in 2018. The common perception was that, hey, you have your pants down to your ankles or something like that. You're sagging or something like that. You're walking with a limp. It's a dimly lit neighborhood or something like that.
All the kind of excuses people use.
You're loud or something like that. All of this kind of signals that this is something that I need to be afraid of because this person is black. This is what black is. But now, with we have the benefit of cell phones, and so we see all of this video footage now that black people looking normal. I mean, they can look as normal as any other white person, just doing day-to-day stuff, and that is still threatening. So it's just amazing. I know, some, like you said, some white people, they use that hoodie to portray an image, especially of young black males. Like, this is what a scary young black male looks like. But like I said, man, that's when you confront that with all the other types of videos that we see, Permit Patty and Barbecue Becky and all, these instances that we saw, that we talked about today, it's just hogwash, man. It's
Pool Patrol Pete.
Yeah. It's just blackness. That's what is scary. That is what is suspicious and threatening to some white people. Just blackness.
I mean, if you look at, I guess, the outfits and the attire and the clothes that black people wore in the 60s and 50s and the 40s and the 30s, they weren't baggy pants and, hoodies and gold chains, and none of them had gold grills. All those people that were getting sprayed with those water hoses, looked like some of them were dressed in school uniforms. So I just, people need to miss me with that bullshit. Like, if you didn't look like that, well, then how do you explain all the instances where people were harassed or profiled or, I guess this kind of negative perception was projected onto them, and they didn't look like a
thug or something like that.
That's how you know it's bullshit, man.
The I guess the look of what's threatening has evolved over the years. But the one thing that is constant is the black. is the skin color, like the features of the face and all that. Yeah, that's the constant. everything else, that's those are variables.
It's like when I hear some people, talk about Hispanic people, coming over to their house or working at their job, and they sing their praises. They're so hardworking, and they'll bust their ass for $1, and I wish more people were like these people. But you catch them in front of Fox News, and a caravan full of women and children is an invading army. It's like it's you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. Like, if you take my tack, I really assimilated into American culture. My parents raised me in a suburban neighborhood full of white people, and I really assimilated into the culture. Why do people still give me the side eye? If it's about assimilation, if these people won't assimilate, these people want to have their own. Well, if it's about assimilation, why do you still give me the side eye? It's not about assimilation. It's about control. It's about, like, if you go out and you educate yourself and you become smarter and you work harder that is a problem too. If you don't go out and educate yourself and you don't become smarter and you don't work harder, that is a problem too. It's not about assimilating. It's not about contributing to society. It's about control. They're not happy. It's like when conservatives say, they would like to see more bipartisanship. Well, whenever the Democrats try to use bipartisanship, they get called weak. Yeah. And then whenever the Democrats try to not use, bipartisanship, then they get called obtuse or obstinate, because that's how these conservative types of people think. And I was thinking about something else. Did you ever notice conservatism is pretty much the same across human societies?
No matter what country you go to?
It hit me. I was like, if I was living in Myanmar and I was a conservative person, I would talk the same way and I would act the same way towards Muslim Rohingya people, right, as if I was like a white conservative in America, or if I was a French conservative in France, or if I was a British conservative. It's like, so here's a good question. Why don't people get this? And why don't people, like, because it's not like this isn't like something that just cropped up. Hitler was conservative German, right? And then Mussolini was conservative. He was conservative Italian. He wanted to bring back the traditional Italian culture from Rome. That's what Mussolini's whole spiel was all about. Emperor Hirohito, he was conservative. Like, and the results are always the same. These conservative people with this conservative mindset, they want this traditional value. Is it that people are just traditionally assholes to anybody who has nothing, or anybody who's new on the scene, or anybody who's not from? Like, I just don't get it sometimes, fellas. Like, I don't understand it, because it's like, what's going to happen. Like, we all hear Trump talk about his bellicose rhetoric, rapists and murderers and this and that and the other thing. We know where this goes. But why is it that some 40-odd% of the country just doesn't give a fuck?
They can be scared to believe. We have these demagogues that are everywhere in society, not just in America, but across the whole damn world. And they scare people into believing a certain type of way. Now, I'm not going to say it's not inherent in them, to some degree, but I think these demagogues do a fantastic job at scaring people and trying to shift the blame onto a certain society of people, a certain class of people.
I think Court kind of highlighted an interesting irony in regard to, I guess, the dominant culture's response to non-white people assimilating, because I've noticed I wouldn't call it like a catch-22. It's only a catch-22 because they made it that way. But the irony behind a lot of these alt-right white nationalists who kind of advocate and support the creation of a white ethno-state, one of the main one of the main things that makes them mad is the advancement of women and then people of color in society. Now, for the longest, they've talked about how women and non-white people can't advance because they're inferior. They're inferior. That's why they can't advance. They need to just, like Court said, assimilate, do better. Now that black people and women are doing better, they feel as if somehow society has somehow forsaken them, and this is not the way it's supposed to go, even though that is exactly what they complained about. Like, so now that there's some inclusiveness happening, now that there are positions of power, there's some access that women and non-white people have that they did not have before, they feel slighted, which is just, again, very ironic, considering that is exactly what they wanted. That is exactly why they looked down upon women and non-black people, because they felt that they had nothing to contribute to society. Now that women and now that non-white people are contributing to society, they feel slighted. And kind of the second point Court brought up in connection to that had to do with power. That's what it really has to do with. I guarantee you there can be 5 times as many black people as there are right now in this country. But if they were all subjugated as slaves, these right-wing people would have no problem with all these brown people and all these black people, because the power dynamic is not the same. So it's not about numbers like they claim. It has nothing to do with numbers. It has to do with how those numbers engage with society. Okay. So that's what it has to do. It has nothing to do with numbers. It's just to do with power distribution. They would have no problem with immigration. They would have no problem if there were 10 times as many black people. I just upped it or doubled it. So see, as long as those people are subjugated, they're fine with being the ruling minority. They're fine with that. But now that power is shifting, they're kind of afraid that that ruling minority status dwindling.
So about immigration, we've talked about the Dreamers before. We've talked about it's like over 90% of them are here doing the right thing. They're gainfully employed, or they're in college. They're, taking classes, what have you. They're actually, productive members of society. They're adding to the United States of America. They've assimilated, right? Because they came here as children. They know the language. They are Americans. They don't even know anything about living in their home country. These are the people that you would think you want to see here in the United States of America, doing what they can for their economies and, the larger economy to that regard. But there's still a problem. There's still a problem because like you said, they're not subjugated, right? They're free to do whatever the hell they want to. They have businesses. They're not able to vote, but if they get citizenship, they will be able to vote. So of course you have a problem with that, because then they'll have the ability to actually impact society in a very monumental way. And you know how it's always framed with, with Republicans. Hey, these immigrants are coming here. They want to change the fabric of our society. These Democrats, they want them coming across the border so that they can reshape the dynamics of the society.
I know what color that fabric is. Yeah, I know what the thread count looks like.
It reminds me of a documentary I watched. Y'all ever hear about the Jim Crow Museum? I believe it's in Mississippi or Alabama. Yeah, I know it's one of them deep South states. But it's a black man who started this museum, and he collects all the memorabilia that came out of the end of Reconstruction all the way up until the modern day. And one thing that really struck me about what he said was, before the Civil War, white people, they treated black people like shit. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to condone slavery. I'm not trying to condone what happened in America before any of this shit. But what I'm saying is, they did not have the kind of vitriol and the kind of hatred that they harbored after the end of Reconstruction. It's like they went from you could have a black woman watch your children, right? You could trust her with your children, alone with your children. Like you've enslaved her family, probably split her family up. Yeah. She probably doesn't even see her kids anymore, right? But you will trust her
because she's living in fear
to watch your kids, right? But then, as soon as she gets just an inkling of freedom in her mind,
just a little taste,
thought, all of a sudden now it's all kinds of derogatory pictures and art. It's all kinds of derogatory names. It's all kinds of derogatory legislation. It's a joke. It's a goddamn joke. And see, here's another thing too, man. Like at first I thought it was like, well, maybe some white people are just scared of retaliation, you know. But then I sat down and I was talking one day, and I was like, you know what? Besides a few slave rebellions that didn't succeed, black people have never tried to revolt in this country. They may have protested. You may have had movements like the Black Panther Society, which were trying to protect themselves. You may have had like people like Malcolm X, who were just tired of trying to integrate with people who just refused to integrate. But you never saw some shit that went down like in Haiti. You know, like in Haiti, when the Haitians were like, you know what, French people suck, and they just started killing all of them, right, and ran them out of Haiti. You didn't see that in America.
Yeah.
What?
You don't. You like the closest we ever came to doing that was like I guess Nat Turner and Denmark Vesey, but nothing on that kind of Haitian scale. It was always like these lone wolves that kind of led these rebellions, but nothing that I guess equaled that type of rebellion we saw in Haiti. Nothing like that.
Not to that scale.
Not to that scale.
And yet still, it's like it just doesn't matter. It's like just a mere thought. It's like just a mere thought of I don't know. I don't know if it's retaliation, losing control. I mean, to me, you know, when I ask my son to do something and he doesn't do it, it's like, okay, well, now he's making it bad for the family, because a family is like a mini society. You know what I mean? Like it's a little mini society, and you want the people to do what you say, because you have the best of intentions for them. When they don't do it, it makes you feel uneasy. When they do it, you're like, all right, yeah, you get behind them. But when you scale it up, man, it's like in America, when black people don't do what white people say to do, they're uncomfortable. And then when black people do what white people say to do, they're uncomfortable.
This is sans the subjugation, or I guess the visible subjugation. Yeah.
I don't know.
All right, Court.
Y'all got it. Yeah.
Yeah, we got somebody waiting in, so we're gonna get to that caller, and we appreciate, as always, you calling in, man, adding to this program.
Hey, no problem, fellas. Thanks for having my call, and y'all have a good one.
I appreciate it, man.
Have a good weekend, man. All right, we're gonna get to 770. What's going on? You're on the air live with LTMB.
Hey, what's up?
What's up? It's Tony?
It's Tony. Yeah, it's Tony.
Yes, Tony.
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Yeah, man, it's been a long time, man. I was like, man, I don't think they ever come back.
Yeah, we came back last week for the election. Yeah, we were on for probably over 8 hours. Yeah,
it was 8 hours, bro.
Yeah, man, it was a long time.
And it was weird because that was our first time in a while. So our first time back, it was a long show. So we had to get our endurance back real quick.
Yeah, real quick, man. And you know what? Going into the show, I did feel like, look, hold on, we're gonna talk about this election the whole time. You think we can actually fill it up?
I know.
But somehow we did. But anyway, what's going on with you, Tony?
Yeah, I was just calling to comment on the whole clothing policies. I mean, they're so transparent, but they can't just be like, hey, no black people.
Right.
But yeah, I've dealt with that ever. I think I might be a little bit older than y'all, but I mean, we're still pretty close in age. But I dealt with that whole shit the whole time, like ever since college. Like, oh well, you can't wear cross-color clothes. You can't wear your hat backwards. You can't wear a sweatshirt. Like, give me a break, dude. Because all the black people wear that.
Yeah. I remember, and I think you brought this up one time. One of our associates, one of our friends back in the day, this dude had green pocket lining, And it was visible. You could see some of the green. They would not let him in to this damn club because he had green pocket lining.
Yeah, okay, yeah, like cross colors or something, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's how they make it, like, they target certain groups without saying the group's name. They kind of prohibit certain clothing styles or actually certain brands that they know certain people wear because this is a continuation of the conversation we were having earlier about certain like types of clothing that were prohibited in certain clubs. And you couldn't wear, this was back when like FUBU was in, like you couldn't wear FUBU, FUBU, Rockaware, like it was like Sean John, Timberland. Those were considered big name. I think Anise. So basically a lot of stuff that people like up north would wear that kind of made its way down here, big name stuff, you know. Like Fat Farm,
I was
FUBU.
just gonna say Fat Farm.
So yeah, all those big names clothing that the clothing brands that just so happened that were worn by black people were prohibited.
Now, with the exception of the Timberlands, I was never a big Timberlands fan myself, but with the exception of the Timberlands, because you know they're made by a white dude, if I'm not mistaken. Like the FUBU and all that stuff, those are like black-owned companies. I'm surprised there wasn't ever a lawsuit like saying, "Hey, you discriminating people wearing like black-owned clothing lines." We got a problem with that. You know what I'm saying? I'm surprised nobody ever did that. But
yeah, I know.
I remember.
I guess there was no money in it.
Yeah.
I remember, man. Just talking, man. I remember there's one particular incident, man. It almost bringing tears to my eyes because I'm laughing about it. There was one particular incident where we were trying to get in the club, but they had a problem with you for some reason because of your pants. Like they were too baggy or something, which they weren't baggy. This dude. So we got back in line. This dude hiked his pants up so damn
I'm
far.
like, it was Urkel-esque. It was Urkel-esque, man.
I was dying laughing, man. But that's the kind of dumbass shit that we have to had to go through.
I'd I tuck like the bottom so it wouldn't be too baggy.
Your belt was so up.
I had my pants like up to my damn belly button.
Man, it was again
retarded.
Laughing in the moment, man, because of that struggle. Because it is funny, but like when you really think about it, man, it's like why are we going through this? Like why do we just because we got darker pigmentation for real? All these other people, these white people in this establishment, they got sloppy like sneakers on. I mean,
flip-flops.
The flip-flop. I mean, they looking raggedy, man. And it's like they just got let in.
Oh, remember they had a no dreads and no cornrows policy too.
Hell yeah.
Ain't that funny?
Man, we got into
are y'all up by Myrtle Beach by chance?
We in the like in Central South Carolina, Columbia.
Okay, yeah, because I remember that. I remember seeing a lot of that in Myrtle Beach. Like they be coming in wearing flip flops and Daisy Duke shorts all in their butt cracks, and like I try to wear like a sweatshirt. No, man, you can't wear that. Like what the hell are you talking about?
Ridiculous, man. There were so many times. Like the dress, that was a real hot button issue, and it wasn't just, like I think we sparked it. But there would be so many times we're out there arguing with bouncers. Like,
I'm telling you,
people
would like start gathering around because we'd be causing a scene, man.
Like we're talking about half hour. We're just going at it back and forth.
Yo, I swear, like, you know how like when you're in a situation like they do this a lot of movies and television shows where you're in a situation, then they cut away.
Yeah.
And the person's like imagining they're doing something else, but then it cuts back to like the reality, and they didn't do none of that.
Right.
Like that's what was going through my head. Like I picture myself because they were out there with the cash register because the bouncers they were accepting money. Man, I picture myself like kicking the cash register over and then running, but I never did that. That was the cutaway scene right there. That was just in my head.
Man, it was nothing but static out there, man. It was mighty testy out there, mad tension, and I mean they ultimately stopped it. They stopped it, and I don't see. I never really knew because I was gonna do something about it. Like I had contacted, and I can't remember who I contacted. The Department of I can't remember, but I remember I got like a complaint form and everything like this, and I was actually talking to somebody about it. And just like when I was actually going to like turn in and actually like actually send the actual complaint, they like changed the policy and it was like, hey, everything's good, you can have dress and come in the establishment now. I was like, man, all of that, like, just Heisman, just stay out. You can't come in. And now it's like, oh, it's not a problem. It's like, what happened? What happened, man?
Because they're afraid of a lawsuit.
They're afraid of a lawsuit, and dreads are a little bit more popular nowadays amongst white people. Mm-hmm. So you have to adjust. You have to adjust.
And also another thing that bugs me along that same line is, like, you see a lot of these policies, like these little towns. Now this is kind of different. They be talking about pants sagging and stuff, but when I be looking at the people pushing these policies, and it's like, they'd be like, like local black politicians, they're, the mayor or whatever, black mayor. And it's like, wait a second. So you're making an ordinance against all of the black kids that live in your town, which means the cops are going to stop them.
Right. Yeah. We see
I've always had a problem with that.
Carolina too. That's happened here in South Carolina. I remember that. That wasn't that long ago.
That wasn't that long ago, man.
That long ago. And we had a problem with that. I mean, because it's like, look, I don't like it. I straight up don't like it. I think it looks ridiculous, especially.
Yeah, I don't do.
Dude, man, look, man. The most insane thing that I see when guys are actually sagging their pants is when they're doing it playing basketball. I'm like, are you stupid? Like, are you serious? Like, you see them like pulling up their shorts while they dribbling the ball. I'm like are you really out here trying to ball and you sagging that deep? Like, for real, man?
Yo,
that's dumb, man.
They got to stay in character. That's what they got to stay in character, man.
I'm like, you're really easy to defend right now, right? Because I see what
you're
doing.
Yeah. I be seeing them at the mall, man. They'd be at the mall. They'd be like all the way down, and you just see the top half of their boxes, and I'd be like, what the fuck are you?
But at
the same time, they're all mostly black. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'll be seeing like these black politicians. They be like, okay, we're making an ordinance. The police will stop you if you got your, like, really? You're gonna have the police stop these black kids?
That's
and
a
you don't see no problem with
thing.
that.
That's a respectability thing. That's that respectability politic type shit, man.
But if you walking outside in a bathing suit, it don't matter, right?
It don't matter.
It don't matter.
Yeah.
But if just the look of you sagging your pants, that's unacceptable. Man, it's ridiculous, man. Spend your time doing something else, man. It's like solve some actual problems. Like, leave that to some parents or something, man.
Yeah, and also another thing, just leave on this one last note, is that people always be like, well, if you didn't dress like that, you wouldn't be targeted. And it's like, wait a second, King was wearing a suit and tie when he was shot. What are you talking about?
That's why I brought up the clothing of those individuals that were being shot with those water hoses. Go look at those pictures. What kind of clothes are they wearing? Pretty normal damn clothes.
Hell yeah. And like what we see on all these cell phone videos right now with all these black people getting, the cops called on them. What are they wearing? Regular ass shit. Regular stuff that white people wear. Regular stuff that everybody wears. It's not about the clothes.
And like one person I respect, he's problematic in a few ways, but for the most part, I'm really down with this dude. And that's Michael Eric Dyson. Sometimes he can be a bit too wordy. Sometimes he tries a bit too hard. You know what I'm talking about. Like, this mug is like, he knows how to pontificate. But, he's one of those older black folks that don't kind of engage in so much of that respectability politics. He has a vast knowledge of hip hop, more so than most people who claim to be hip hop heads do. And he's just kind of light-skinned, curly-haired black dude. You know what I'm saying? And most people would look at him and not know that he can spit Jay-Z or Biggie or Tupac or Eminem, whatever lines off the top of his dome, Nas, anything like that. And I think the topic of pants sagging came up and they invited him on. And I think that they were expecting him to be that type of dude simply because the way he looked. They brought him on to be that respectability politics simply because he's a black intellectual. But like, he made this comment, like his commentary was vast and overarching. I can't remember most of his commentary, but the way he dropped the mic, I was like, damn. The last thing he said was, lift up their dreams and their pants will follow. I was like, God, dog. He basically, in one line, said, it's like y'all focus on the wrong thing. It's like it's not even about their damn pants, man. Like, y'all mugs are just trying to, like, approach it from a very trivial position. Like, because you got to pay attention to their circumstances and not their damn pants. Like, try to fix what their circumstances and not worry about what their damn clothing. As if they're going to pull up their pants and automatically their situations are going to change.
Exactly.
Because they'll complain about something else if their pants wasn't sagging. They'd be like complaining about something else.
No doubt.
Like, oh my God, I don't like the way their hairstyle is, you know.
And we see that all too often, man. I be seeing, especially at the beginning of school years, at some of these elementary schools, and usually they're private schools, and these kids.
Oh, with the black girls, yeah.
And not even black girls, man. Like black boys. I think a black child had the beginning of dreads or something like that. There was another one that had something like an afro, maybe something like that, and it was like, these are regular hairstyles. And for some reason, they're against the policy. Oh, you got to take your kid home. It's like, man, okay, all right. What you see what they're trying to shape the society to be like.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all I wanted to hit on. When y'all brought that up, that brought back some memories.
Yeah, it brought back some memories when we, decided to cover it too.
Oh,
I wasn't thinking about that.
No.
And all of a sudden we see this story and we're like, oh man.
Crazy, man. Appreciate you calling in, Tony, man.
As
always
always,
good to hear
man.
from you.
All right, y'all have a good night.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, I remember, you remember when we were out one time and that group from Boston came down? I think it was like maybe two dudes and a girl. And it was one of those nights that we had a problem getting in because of our hair. And I remember the girl was talking to us like, "Are you serious?" Like,
yeah, they were like,
"Hold on, what's going on? Like, this is something serious? Like you can't get in because of your hair?"
Yeah, they didn't know
what's going on.
They didn't know. They were just like out of their element. Yes. They thought they were like on another planet when they heard that. They were like you saw that cutscene again, where like the world just kind of like started pulling away from them. Right. Just look in their eyes, it was like the world was pulling away from them. Like
they're trying to dissect like reality.
Yeah,
and like with us, it's like that's what happens.
That's what happens right here.
It's not.
They looked at us like, "Are you serious?"
And it's allowed to happen here?
It's like, you're joking, right? They were like, y'all playing us. Y'all playing us. Y'all.
But nah, man, this was real life, man. We had to experience this. And you know what? You know what's funny too, man? It wasn't always. You remember that? Sometimes we got in.
That's why it was sometimes we got in. That's why it was so...
Didn't do anything different to the hair. Didn't put it under a hat or something like that. Sometimes we got in.
That's how you know it was just like somebody making like a personal decision, or what it was, they might have had, and actually I knew a dude who worked as a bouncer, and he said they used to have like a limit on how many black people should get in. So they would use their discretion in regard to how many black people were already in there. So we may have gotten in because, okay, we only have like 5 in, so yeah. Mm-hmm. Which is weird. Like the whole thing is weird. And the reason why the whole thing, there's a lot of reasons why the whole thing is weird. Yes. But like, what kind of music do most of these clubs play? The clubs that you can't get into wearing certain clothes. What type of music do they play? And usually,
if I recall,
that hippity hop,
the hippity hoppity hop,
the hippity hop,
the hippity hoppity hop to the hip. Yeah. No doubt.
That rapscallion. Mm-hmm. That rapscallion.
Now, so of course, sometimes they did play an ounce of country.
An ounce, like they take a break, but then all the people would clear off the dance floor.
Everybody would clear the floor,
and then they would play hip hop again. They would play rap, and a lot of times, in a lot of these clubs, guess what? They played along with the songs. There was a screen. They had a big screen, and they played the video of the song that was playing.
And what were the people
wearing? What were the people wearing in the video? That is like a sad irony right there. Like, yo, I can't get in the club, or you won't allow people to get in the club wearing certain clothes, but you come in and they playing music and you see the music video with people who are wearing those same clothes. I'm like, man, this...
Yeah, man.
I'm like, of course you're not going to see that irony unless you're being observant, but that shit is like weird to me, man.
Oh, man. Times, man. Those are the times, man. And like I said, some of that bullshit is still happening. Moose Guy saying, which would you rather have in society, baggy pants or bell bottoms? Definitely baggy pants. I'm not a fan of. I mean, I'm a dude. Maybe some dudes wear.
No. Bell bottom. No, bell bottoms were like
back in the day.
Back in the day, like back in the both day. Men and women.
Yeah.
Wore
I'm
bell
talking about
bottoms.
now. I don't think you see dudes wearing bell bottoms. I don't think you do. See, I see dudes wearing tight pants.
You know what?
And I don't wear tight
That's
pants.
like the bell bottoms of the modern.
Dude, you will not see me wearing tight pants. And you know what? It all comes together because we're talking about sagging. We were talking about sagging. You know what I hate more than just seeing regular sagging? Tight pants.
Sagging.
Tight pants sagging.
First of all, you haven't decided what you want to do yet. You either wear tight pants.
Oh, man.
You either wear tight pants or you wear pants that can sag.
Yes.
But you can't do both.
But we see, and you know what? I even seen this in New York, man. Just a few years ago when I went up to New York, man, I'm driving around. I see dude crossing the street, got tight ass pants on, and he is sagging the hell out of them. I'm like, I thought maybe this was just like a deep south thing, something like that.
Your range of motion is like your range of motion is so diminished when you're wearing tight pants and sagging. Your legs are probably moving like.
I know that's some new school stuff. I know, a lot of these young people, these kids, these teenagers, a lot of them wearing the tight stuff, the tight pants, rocking the tight suits and the skinny ties and all this.
One of their favorite musicians did it, and so it's acceptable. And I think that goes with the bell bottoms too. Like for me, bell bottoms. Let's see. I think you have to qualify to rock those. Mm-hmm. Like let's say I'll use Prince for an example. He can wear pants with the butt out because he Prince. Yo, nah, dog. It should be illegal. It should be illegal for me to wear pants with the butt out. Prince, he should be allowed to do that. It's one of those things, man. This. Sorry,
I feel you on that.
I know that's discriminatory, but
I think forget a law about sagging pants. I make a law about tight pants in males. I'd be like, you a male? Sorry, you can't wear
Actually,
tight
that
pants,
makes more sense because I can say, it's a health risk. I can say it's a health risk. You're cutting off circulation to your balls.
Yeah, you're decreasing
your ability, decreasing your sperm count. It's a public safety issue. It's a public health risk.
We gotta promote male vitality.
Male vitality. That's what it is, man. We just trying to promote male vitality, man.
Oh man. Bring back the full leather suits.
Oh, the Eddie Murphy, that red one.
There's some people that can do that.
Exactly, that's another when you on stage.
On stage, anything flies, man.
Anything flies.
Yeah.
Anything flies.
Hell yeah. How you gonna look with a full leather suit?
A leather
walking
suit
down the street
and those boots, kind of like cowboy-like boots, leather boots, leather suit and leather boots.
Nah, you can't do that. No. But hell yeah, I'd outlaw straight up tight pants. Outlaw the hell out of them. And dare somebody to say something. You can't. Sorry. Get over it. Wear some baggy pants. Wear some regular. It ain't got to be because I wear the same type of pants that I did back in high school. They're baggy, but they're not outlandish baggy. They're not crazy. They're not wide leg skater type.
Skater type.
No.
The ones where the ones where you can't even see their feet.
Hell yeah, nah, they ain't nothing like that. They're just regular. They're not slim fit. They're just regular, the casual little, baggy pants. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna see the outline of my thighs.
Oh, true that. Definitely not gonna see.
They're not gonna be cutting off the circulation of my calves.
You're not gonna see my kneecap poking out.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
That's too much, man. Nah, I can't get down with that. Nah. I wonder. See, and I just answered your question, Moose Guy. See, that's the type of pants I like. Regular baggy pants. That's the type that I've always been comfortable with.
With room, just enough room.
I wonder how things will evolve even going further. In 10 years, 15 years. I wonder what's going to be the trend at that point.
L Train asked if we ever thought about changing the color of our dreads, the tips of them, dyeing them. I used to have people always ask me to they say
that's a familiar question.
Do them red, do them blonde, like T-Pain or Future or not Future, but what's the dude? What's the other dude with the eye? What's the dude with the eye? Jimmy Choos. On the things, on the thing, on the Jimmy Choos. The dude with the eye, man, he got one eye. I bet you L Train knows.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, baby. His name is in my head, man. I bet you L Train knows. I bet you L Train knows. Yeah, he has the one eye. It's the dude with the one eye.
But yeah, we fielded that question many times. I've never seriously considered it.
Fetty Wap. See, you know, yeah.
I've never seriously considered it at all, man.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I did. And then of course, like, I didn't consider it, but my mom was like, "Man, don't do that." My mom was like, "Don't do that to your hair," because she has locks too.
I will say though that back in the day though, 1992, I was rocking the clean high top. Okay, the clean high top. Okay, mad clean.
Oh yeah,
right?
that box.
I had the box, right, and then on the tip, I had the reddish brown dye. Looking clean. Now this is 92. Right now that might just like look a little whack right now.
You would have to call that a throwback.
Exactly.
You would have
you know
to call
what?
that
It'd be so
throwback.
original. Right now it might not be so whack. But like in the 90s, nobody was gonna do that. In the 90s.
I remember.
But in
it was like
in the late 90s. What in 92 that jump was.
You just like dyed the top. I remember also like the step box.
Oh hell.
Was like something that was trending too.
The Gumby.
The step box with like a part in it.
Yeah, all of that. I did that. But see, I thought so. Again, this is 6th grade, right? I'm thinking I'm looking mad fresh, right? I got the reddish brown. Ain't nobody else doing that, right? So I'm like, man, I'm looking mad fresh. Of course, the junk grow out, right? So I'm like, okay, we're about to do this again. All right, like, yo, mom, we gotta go to the barber. You know what I'm saying? I gotta get that, gotta get that redone. Gotta get that reddish brown back in there. She like, no, that was a one-time thing. I'm like, hold on, no, that's me now. That's me. I gotta get no, that's Will now. I gotta get the reddish brown. The clean, the clean fade, the box, the reddish brown at the top. Can we?
Oh, you thought it was like
I thought it was a new Will thing.
She just let you get it one time just to man, just to make you feel good.
Boy, I was so disappointed. I was hurt, man. I was hurt because I was like, yo, we about to go to the shop right now. Let me get that. Nope, sorry. That's a one. I'm not.
One thing, like one period of time, I'm so glad I didn't come up in was like the 70s. And like, well, we came up in the 80s, but it was making its way out. It was still trending. It was making its way out. Jerry curl.
Oh yeah, that was making its way out. Yeah.
Like when we got older, the Jerry curl was like still in, but not with like our generation.
Right. Nah.
Because Michael Jackson, not the kids. Like, it was still in,
stuff,
but it wasn't. It was kind of on its way out because the younger generation was kind of.
You saw movies with
adults.
But
I remember like Coming to America,
of course,
with Eric LaSalle.
Hell,
come let your soul glow.
Soul glow, boy.
Soul glow.
Yeah, but
let your soul.
That wasn't something that I seen any kids in New York here. That's not anything I saw any kid rocking, man. That was again. That was late '80s, early '90s. I never saw any of that. Too much maintenance. Constant spritzing,
man. And like messiness, and then you had to take care of the drippage. You say, yeah, man. I guarantee you. You ask any black person who lived in a neighborhood with a good amount of black people, if they saw a dude with a Jerry curl cap walking around, and they would say, you know what? Yes, there was somebody with a Jerry curl cap walking around, or like you went to like the grocery store or the barbershop, somewhere there was somebody wearing a Jerry curl cap. There was one dude I always saw him walking up down the street, walk everywhere, Jerry curl cap. Had it always in. I guess he was like, he took it off when he got to his destination. You know what I'm saying? It's like it.
Gotta preserve the look.
Gotta preserve that look, man. That's just like you said, too much maintenance, man.
But that's what, like I said, 10, 15, 20 years, man. What is gonna be the style, man? I'm and I got kids, man. So a decade from now, they're gonna be in them,
they're gonna be
around them high school years. So it's like, okay, what are these mothers gonna want to do, man? Yeah. I don't know. But little man, You ain't getting tight pants, man. You ain't getting tight pants. Not in this house. You ain't getting tight pants, man. Sorry. Not happening.
I've never had design shaved in my head. I went bald one time just to try it as an experiment. I already had my hair low. I was just like, let me try bald. I did that once, but actually that's a little bit of maintenance too to keep it clean. Like it don't matter what kind of hairstyle you have, there's going to be maintenance to it. It's just different kind of maintenance for each type of hairstyle. He went bald, but it wasn't for a different reason. It wasn't necessarily purposeful.
So I never did the designs in the hair either. To answer yours, I did go bald. It wasn't purposeful. When this was high school. So high school, of course, you're gonna be trying to shape up your own hair. You're gonna be trying to cut your own edges and stuff like that, right? So I'm trying to give myself a little tape, I'm trying to shape myself up, you know what I'm saying? Look in the mirror, I'm like, yeah, I got this, right? So then I was like, you know what? That don't look straight, man. Let me fix that, right? And it still ain't looking right, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not thinking. I'm clearly not thinking. I'm like, this junk is not straight. What if I just take the line back just like a little bit, and then I have it perfectly straight, right? So I took my damn tape line back a little bit, finished it, and I was like, looked in the mirror. I said, well, that shit ain't gonna work. I can't fix this. You know what I gotta do? I got to shave the whole damn head. That was the only opportunity.
That's the only option you had.
Once you mess up the line, that's the only option, man. It's over, man. So I had to shave the whole thing bald, and then that's what sparked the whole damn little name, Sweet Pea. That's what the moms used to call me on the basketball team, Sweet Pea. So yeah, I had that for a minute until my hair, came back, and I was done with that.
I did a fro for a little bit. That was when I grew my hair out, but I didn't rock the fro that much. But it was when I was getting my braids done. Yeah. I would maybe rock a fro every now and then, but it wasn't continuous.
I rocked the fro for a little while.
Yeah, I remember that. That jump,
about 20 years old or so.
That jump, but once I started getting bigger, that's maintenance. Yeah. Because once you go to sleep on it,
picking
it out. Yeah, you gotta get some detangler and some water. Yeah, get that junk out. Because once you sleep on it, this is it
get dry.
And it gets pat down. Nah.
Yeah, man. Looking like Stephen A. Smith. No. It was worse than that, man. Straight up, I took it back way too far. I can't ever forget looking in that mirror and what the hell did I do? What? My brain must have just completely froze up, thinking I could just take the tape line. Who does that? I was 15 at the time. Obviously, I was not thinking, man. Never made that mistake again. Never. What do you think of black women and their fake hair? Same thing I think of white women and their fake hair.
I care less.
I mean, women have fake hair, straight up.
Yeah, women have fake hair. I just hope extensions. I just rather just it not fall out in my presence.
True.
That's all.
Have it looking tight.
I'll have it looking tight. Hope if I can run my hands through it, okay. But I just hope it just doesn't fall out. True. One thing I do remember about or experience involving fake hair was indirect experience. I realized how fragile fake hair is in certain situations. I recognized the limitations of it in certain situations. One thing that women should avoid, if they do have any kind of glued in hair, some tracks, some weave sewed in, or a wig or whatever, one thing they should avoid is fights. That's all I'm saying. Usually it's not built for fights.
Right.
I do remember one instance when we were in high school, and I think the girl's name was Natalie. She was in our class.
Oh, man. Okay, you took me back. Yep.
And I think she had some fake braids or something braided into her hair. And it was early in the morning. I remember this. And it was a girl. I think her name was was it Ada? She was from New York.
Maybe. Yeah.
I think her name was Ada. She was from New York. Boy, she was thick. I'm not talking about thick, damn girl, thick. I'm talking about she was stocky. Yeah. It was a girl that Dudes didn't mess with.
True.
This girl was just like, yo, yeah, you can't just shove her out the way. You know what I'm saying? It's going to take a lot to, like, get this girl on the ground or move this girl.
And Natalie was small.
And Natalie was small.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it was. I guess trying to establish her, I guess, reputation in the school as a freshman. Ada was a senior. You know how it is. You the small dogs. You the little dogs. Yeah. You know, you try to like buck up to take your place because you're ninth grade. Nobody cares about you. Yeah. Nobody cares about you in ninth grade. You a freshman. You're a freshman. Nobody cares about you. So hey, why not make your place? Like, just kind of like go out of your way. If they had some beef, she thought she could step to her. No, it wasn't happening. Guess what happened? I didn't see the fight, but I heard the fight. And I saw the crime scene.
Yeah, I saw the crime scene. I didn't see the fight.
I didn't see the fight.
I saw the crime
I saw the crime scene. Yeah. We walked through the crime scene. All you saw was pieces of hair laying around. Yes. It was like, I wanted to draw like chalk around them. You know what I'm saying? It was like, all you said. And then it got worse. Because like throughout the day, okay, well, apparently there were some people who were witnesses of the fight and who saw the pieces of hair fall to the ground. I guess her head was getting slung everywhere. But apparently some dudes, like some of the dudes who saw the fight, like I guess picked up some of the hair and they were just walking around with it all day. Like this one dude, like, I don't know how he stapled it to his hat. He stapled like a few pieces to his hat on the inside and put his hat on. He's walking around with the chick's weave.
Why is your memory so good on this? Because I haven't thought about this in like decades, man. Yo, you're bringing it all back, though.
Things like that. Boy, things like that.
That one, I didn't remember that.
Things like that stay in
here,
that one
man. Until just now,
when you see a dude wearing somebody else's hair, somebody that got beat up, you remember that.
Like, yeah, I got it now. Like, it was in there. I just, it was.
And you know how it is. You know how it is in middle school and high school when there's a fight. And there's a fight, man. Yeah. The whole day for something, you just feel invigorated. Yeah. Like, there's a fight, you're like, yo, you hear about that fight?
Energy,
oh, you hear about that fight, man? Yeah, man. And even if you wasn't there, just hearing about it, you didn't see it.
Yeah,
you just knowing that there was a fight, it just kind of like.
That's what you talk about throughout the rest of the day.
That's why forget class. That's why it's good if it happens in the beginning of the day or at lunchtime. Because you just got something to talk about. Oh, you see somebody get their wig split, literally.
But yeah, man. I think we're going to get out of here, man. I think we had a pretty good show. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Talking about the serious issues, talking about some of these issues, with a comedic angle on them, no doubt. Yo, GOP, watch your balls, man.
For real, man.
Watch your ball, man. Look, man, it's serious out here for you men's. Okay, it's serious for us men's, man. Look, temperatures are getting hotter, man. See, the testicles have to stay. I think they have to stay cooler than like the internal
temperature, normal temperature. That's why they are descended.
Exactly. Yeah. So if you heat them things up, studies show it's gonna have some negative impacts on male fertility. Look, that's not something that you want to hear, man.
You do, yeah. You don't want to end up, a Billy Blanks out here.
Ooh,
don't want to end up. You don't want to end up a Billy Blanks
because a lot of men feel like they ain't men
adequate
if they can't.
Yeah. So why would you want to put yourself through that? Just go ahead and change your position on climate change. You know what I'm saying?
Man. Don't let it get that serious, man. It looks like we still have some time to make some changes.
Yeah, man. Don't hurt the squirt, man. Don't hurt the squirt. There need to be some billboards.
I'm saying.
Don't hurt the squirt.
Yeah.
Man.
So yeah. That's a good one. That's a good one.
You like that one?
Yeah. Some catchy phrases to like you gonna cause accidents though. I'm telling you though. You go what? Oh, I gotta contact my congressman. But I do want to close on a serious note. We've talked about police shootings time after time after time after time again, and I just want to note a few of these police shootings that have left somebody dead, a black somebody dead, And we haven't seen any movement whatsoever. We haven't seen any charges. We haven't seen any arrests. We haven't seen any firings. None of that. So you remember Dante Yarber? That was in Barstow, California. He was killed by police in April of this year. It was at a Walmart parking lot. His friend that was in the car too, a female, she got shot. She survived though. Nothing. We've got nothing. It's since April. We got nothing. Just stalling. They're just hoping that, you know, they can just ride this thing out. Everybody will forget about it. We won't have to do anything. Those officers will still be able to hold their jobs, keep their pensions. Nothing will happen. O'Shea Terry. That was just a little while ago. That was in September. He was killed by police in Arlington, Texas. Again, still, I mean, that's a little bit closer to right now. That's just a couple months from now, or a couple of months previous to now, but still, haven't heard anything. We saw the video. Looked to be very improper. Looked to be a murder to me. Still nothing. Stephon Clark, that was around the time of Dante Yarper. That was in March. That was in Sacramento, California.
Behind the house.
Behind the house. We saw the video. We saw the helicopter, either the helicopter video too. I mean, nothing. There was a state autopsy performed. Haven't even seen the results of the state autopsy. We saw we seen the results of the independent one that was conducted from the expense of the family, I believe. But the state funded one, the state autopsy,
the one that should be available.
Nothing. No arrests, no firings, no nothing.
They just kind of expect it to
go away, man.
Fade away with time.
Yeah. And then the last one, this is not the last one, but just the last one I'm talking about, the Cynthia Clements. Remember that?
Oh, because she had a steak knife.
Yeah, she had a steak knife.
They knew she had a steak knife.
They knew she had a steak knife. They were able to plan how they were going to subdue her in the event that she came out of the vehicle. They had over an hour's time to plan exactly what they were going to do. They had multiple different options.
Because they were overheard through the audio on their body cameras.
Yes.
Like planning it out. We were able to hear this for over an hour, and they actually knew about her mental state too.
Yep. They had shields, they had batons, they had rubber bullets. Did they have dogs? See, I think they had dogs on the scene.
Not sure. I
can't remember, but I think anyway, they had multiple officers on the scene. But she emerged from the vehicle with a steak knife. Officers shot her dead, shot her multiple times in the head. She was shot dead. This was back in March in Elgin, Illinois. Again, no firings, no charges, no nothing. So I just want to, from time to time, man, we just got to keep highlighting these cases and just bringing awareness to them, because these are people's lives that are being destroyed in a way that, I mean, you can't come back from. Their lives are being cut short because of the improper actions of police officers. And society keeps going on, and these officers, these departments are not held responsible. Sad, man. It's very sad, man. But anyway, again, I hope everybody enjoyed the show today. We do have, I did want to highlight somebody. We have a new contributor on Patreon.com, a new patron, and I want to throw them a shout out for definitely contributing to the show and for backing us and supporting us. Let me see if I can find it right quick. I'm probably not, because it's in the email. Let me go into the email, because I definitely want to shout them out. Yeah, all right. So, it's Charmaine Foltz. Just became a patron. So, thank you very much, Charmaine. Thank you for believing in us. And, man, like I said, patreon.com, man, that's a monthly contribution. So that's something that is every single month. So for you to believe in us, believe in what we're doing, and for you want to help, we definitely appreciate that. We appreciate you all for being here with us and watching, sharing the material, sharing the content, commenting, making this a very inclusive environment, calling in. Shout out to Tony and to Court for calling in tonight. We appreciate that every single night.
And shout out to Gaillard too. We did not notice it come through.
I didn't even see it.
We didn't see it. Probably came through earlier. Yeah. Man, came through when we didn't have the live feed screen up, so we probably in a different window. But thank thank you, Gaillard, for shoveling some money our way. We definitely need it because we are still broke broadcasters.
No doubt. But hey, like I said, we made some improvements. We're looking to make some more. You know, I think the biggest improvement that I want to see now is with the camera. Because, I mean, look, the camera that we have is cool. I mean, we're able to do what we do.
It's like considered one of the top of the line.
It is
webcams.
the top of the line.
It's the top of the line webcam.
Top of the line webcam that we have. But it's still a webcam. You know what I'm saying? So you can't see crisp images like you can on other camcorders and stuff. Yeah, definitely professional broadcast.
We ain't going that high, but that was just an example.
Because some camcorders are out. Man, I was
I looked some up and I was like, holy jeez.
I think this was the B&H catalog.
Yeah.
I think there was a camcorder in there over $100,000.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, bro.
I was like, hold what up?
Yo, I'm telling you, if it was $100,000 camcorder, that junk better record at like 120 frames per second.
Yo, what?
100? Like no. I'm sorry. It's gotta be like 500. For 100,000, it's gotta be 500 frames per second. It's gotta like you should be able to see a dust mite on somebody's clothes.
Hell yeah. Talking about smart TVs.
Talking about smart TVs. Yeah, you better be able to see a dust mite. You know what I'm saying? I better be able to see like the blood running through my veins.
Like X-ray type.
Like X-ray type stuff, dog.
Yeah, man. Like think about what your profit must be if you're able to spend that type of money. My gosh, man. But yeah, we ain't talking about nothing like that. We are talking about something vastly more advanced than what we do have, and we're making some headway, no doubt, thanks to all of our supporters, all the people that contribute to us in the super chat, and all the people that donate money to us monthly through Patreon, and everybody that watches our content on YouTube as well, because we do collect some revenues from YouTube for people that watch our videos. It's not a lot,
but it's
definitely not a lot, but definitely every little bit counts, and like I said, we appreciate it all. So yeah, man. We will be back next weekend. Oh, I said next weekend. No. I had two different thoughts in my head because I was about to say I have no idea what's going on this weekend.
You're about to say something about the weekend.
Yeah.
And then say something about being back on Tuesday.
Yeah. Yeah. I have no idea again what's coming this weekend.
I don't either. Yeah, I don't either. I'll probably be working. I'll probably be working this Saturday though. Because there's a game. There's a home game.
Yeah. Yeah, I have no idea. But I'm sure that we will have something to talk about, many things to talk about on the coming Tuesday. Let me see. Tuesday is going to be what? Today's the 15th, so it's going to be the 20th?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be 20th. The 20th is that deadline. Remember, it was extended 5 days. That was in Georgia, right? I believe, that was in Georgia. It was extended 5 days. So, yeah, I'm sure that, we'll have something to talk about. Oh, that's Selu? Is that Selu? That's Charmaine?
Mm-hmm, Charmaine.
What's up, Selu? Appreciate the contribution.
I swear, like, when I hear that name, I think of The Cosby Show. Remember, I think it was, I'm not sure which one. I don't know if it was it Denise or was it Sandra? Or who had the friend named Charmaine? It was like she talked fast. Like, come on, Charmaine.
I remember her. I can't remember
whose friend. Yeah, whose friend she was. I don't think it was Denise. I think it may have been Sandra. I can't remember.
It was Vanessa too, right?
Vanessa.
It might have been Vanessa.
It might have been Vanessa. It was, man. What was it? Vanessa always has some really weird friends, but yeah, Charmaine was the fast talking one. She's like Charmaine, I'm Charmaine.
Yeah, I can't put it. Not by I can't be sure. But anyway, yeah. But anyway, appreciate you, Selu. Like I said, appreciate everybody. Yeah, see, L Train confirmed
Different world.
Charmaine, Vanessa friend.
But I still think she crossed over.
But he said it was Different World 2.
2. Okay, yeah, that's right, Different World 2. So yeah, she did. That's what I did like about the Cosby Show. Yeah. Like it created a spinoff, but it like transitioned perfectly. It tied in perfectly.
It did.
And it used some of the same characters.
Yeah.
Like obviously that's what spinoffs do, but they used them in a different way that I thought that, usually spinoffs don't use them. It was
and they were
more a
able to
part
coexist
of
for
the
a
story,
while.
and they coexisted. It wasn't. It wasn't like it was almost like it wasn't a different show.
Yeah.
It was kind of like it was a spinoff that's still tied to the show, connected to the show directly. You know what I'm saying?
All right, man. We're gonna get out of here. Everybody, be safe this weekend. Do something that, you know, makes you relax, makes you smile, makes you laugh, whatever, man. Have a good one. We'll catch back up with you after this weekend on Tuesday, same time, same place, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
New set of stories.
New set of stories. Same us.
Mm-hmm.
Will and Mike and Will hollering at you. But we'll see you, all right? Peace out, everybody.